From a jam-packed Estadio Rod Carew, we are delighted to welcome you to game number 8 of 9 of the 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier from here in Panama City. As tonight, for the first time here in Panama, one team will punch its ticket to the 2023 World Baseball Classic with a matchup of two really impressive teams that we've seen through the first few days here at Estadio Rod Carew. Brazil taking on the host nation, Panama. We are ready to get this thing rolling in front of a very big crowd here this evening in Panama City. And alongside the former Major Leaguer and Team Australia pitcher, Ryan Rowland-Smith. Hi, everybody. My name is Tyler Mon. It's great to have you along with us for this one. Ryan, Panama's only played one game. They were dominant in that game, an 11-0 victory a couple of nights ago over Argentina. But now they get a chance in front of this big house to make their way back to the WBC.
Yeah, and it was electric. We've only seen Panama one time, but they have brought all their guys to this qualifier. Everyone's put their hand up, said they're available, and they were absolutely dominant the other night. We're going to see a tough matchup for Brazil again tonight.
Brazil is the sort of upstart in this matchup. Now, we know Brazil has come through the World Baseball Classic qualifiers before. 2013, they made their way through the qualifying round and on to the WBC. This time around, they're trying to do it through the winner's bracket, squaring off with this loaded Panama team, but they know who they will face, both of these squads, if they drop this contest today, as Nicaragua stayed alive with a 6-5 victory over Argentina earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, and it was a battle, too. I mean, I'm going to say Argentina would be going into that game. I'm not going to lie. I thought Nicaragua was going to take care of business early. Took them a little bit to get going. Went back and forth. It was hard for Nicaragua. So they're going to have an absolute opponent on their hands, and this is what it's all about. We have talked about the World Baseball Classic, talking about 5.5 years since we've seen it. Pool A, B, C, and D. There is no easy way to get through this tournament, and this is what's on the line for these qualifying teams. Panama and Brazil trying to get back to the biggest stage in March here in the World Baseball Classic.
For Panama, this is a loaded roster that they put together for Luis Ortiz and his coaching staff. And, you know, we saw this crowd out here a couple of nights ago. They were juiced. They were ready to go. Today, we walked into this ballpark just ahead of 6 o'clock this evening. There were already a couple thousand in the stands 2 hours before first pitch.
Yeah, and we experienced some of the traffic a couple nights ago getting in and out of this place. But you mentioned it too, the fact that Panama was able to load their roster up. Usually when you're in a situation where you've got guys coming from all over the world, different parts of professional baseball, it's tough to get everyone. But they have literally gotten all their guys for this qualifier.
And a super talented squad on the other side for Steve Finley and this Brazil squad. Finley will have 2 of Brazil's 3 major leaguers in his lineup tonight or on the mound. Andre Rienzo gets the nod on the pitcher's mound. Paulo Orlando will be in the 9 spot as the designated hitter. It's a really good group on the other side.
Yeah, it really is. And you take a look at this lineup for the Brazilian team, for Steve Finley. A lot of power in the middle of this lineup. You see Timothy Lopes, former big league. He's got a couple years of really successful time in the major leagues. His brother, Christian Lopes, as well, Reginaldo. We have seen the damage they can do. And their pitching, you mentioned it, their pitching simply throw strikes. That's what we've seen in these games get Brazil to this spot. But they are up against it, let me tell you, against his Panamanian team in front of their home crowd.
Leonardo Reginaldo, 5 for his first 7, 3 doubles, 2 runs batted in, 2 runs scored. And on the other side, an impressive young arm who is trying to rediscover who he was. This guy was a top 3 prospect in the Texas Rangers organization 5 years ago, Ariel Jurado.
And I got a chance to see this young man in the American League West with the Texas Rangers. You mentioned it, 122 innings. He has that heavy sinker, 92 to 94. With that slider and change to go with it. He did start to struggle a little bit. He lost some velocity, lost some movement too on those pitches. But watching him warm up and what we're about to see, what we've heard, he feels good, and like you said, trying to get rediscovered here, and this is the perfect platform for him to do it.
Defensively behind Jurado tonight, a lot of veteran presences out on that field. You've got Cordoba, who's got big league time out and left. Tejada, obviously, Jonathan Arauz, Carlos Sanchez behind the plate. This is a very good group. They weren't tested a whole lot against Argentina a couple of nights ago, but you got a lot of confidence in this group if you're Ariel Jurado.
Yeah, you mentioned up against Argentina, and it was, let's not mess around here. Against Argentina, it was a mismatch, but they took care of business. They're flying all over the base paths. What I was really impressed with from this Panamanian team, not only the thump in the lineup, but the speed at taking that extra base. I'll tell you what, this is going to be electric tonight just like our first night here in Panama.
Man, and electric really is the word. This is a fantastic atmosphere here in this ballpark. The recently renovated Estadio Rod Carew. There is one thing, if you are in this ballpark tonight, you will not miss the Brazil fans. They're all stationed behind the third base dugout, and they're all wearing bright yellow T-shirts to support this Brazil squad. But everybody else in this building is in red, white, and blue and ready to go and cheer on this Panama team that is hoping to make it back to the World Baseball Classic after playing just 2 games. We didn't see that in Germany. Both of the top seeded squads in Germany who waited after Friday to play their first games on Saturday, they both dropped those openers. Panama took care of business on Saturday, and they're ready to go here to try to win their way in game number 2.
You mentioned those Brazilian fans. You can see them from here. It's just surrounded by red, white, and blue, these Panamanian fans. You've got the drums about to start up. As soon as these guys get a chance to hit, you can have Tyler Munn potentially on the cowbell. Maybe tonight we might hear it.
You know, if I decide I want to break out the talent on the cowbell, we'll see if we go that route. As Gabriel Maceo gets set to step into the batter's box and lead this thing off. Game number 8 of 9 in this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier. And with strike 1, we are underway at Estadio Rod Carew. 8:06 in the evening, our first pitch time, as Ariel Jurado fires in strike 1. Jurado, as we noted, was such a highly touted prospect for a long time in the Texas Rangers organization. And not only that, but he is a big-bodied guy. He's listed at 6'4". Check that, 6'2", 240 pounds. Working on a 1-1 count against Maceo. He puts the 1-1 there at the belt to get himself back ahead.
Yeah, big prospect with the Texas Rangers. Had significant time in the major leagues with them. We're talking about that fastball, low 90s with heavy sink. We'll see very soon if that returns that 2019 form.
Listen to this 2-strike noise already. 1-2 pitch. In the air, shallow left center. Alan Cordoba, 1 out.
Yeah, this crowd, you know, is going to be involved in every single pitch. Whether they're pitching, especially when they're hitting, get the music cranking. I want to see their team back in the World Baseball Classic. We talked about this on that when Panama, made their debut in these qualifiers, just how special it is to see the guys. And we saw them taking photos out the front with some of these players a couple days ago, but just having that chance, it's very rare to have some of the best players from your country all on the same team on home soil, unless it's like some sort of exhibition or whatever it is. But games that are meaningful, to have it here in Panama means a lot.
So it brings in the shortstop, Vitor Ito. These two offenses have been 2 of the best that we have seen in the qualifiers so far. Now, obviously, a very limited sample size for Panama with just the 1 game, but their offense was lights out on Saturday in their victory over Argentina. But Brazil's has been impressive so far as well. They had 12 runs in a win over New Zealand to open this thing, and 4 more in the victory over Nicaragua to move here into Tuesday. And the guys who are doing it are their 1, 3, and 4 hitters. Combined, Gabriel Maciel, Tim Lopes, and Leonardo Reginado have gone 12 for 25 with 5 doubles, a homer, and 5 runs batted in. This is another guy that Steve Finley would love to see get going. Ito just won for his first 7. 1-2. Challenged him, and he's gone swinging for out number 2.
Yeah, we talked about that fastball being 92s, 94s. This one, we've seen plenty of 93 so far. This one was 91 with that movement. That's his biggest weapon. The fact he's got that vertical horizontal combination.
So that brings in Tim Lopes, 4 for his first 9 so far in this qualifier. He has been one of the big engines on this Brazil squad, and had a home run earlier in the week.
Yeah, it is against Team New Zealand. He knew it right away. And we talked about this. This is the first day we were here in Panama. Sometimes it takes your team to get settled in, get your feet wet. Did not take Tim Lopes long at all. Go big fly. To that, by the way, that part of the ballpark where we saw it bouncing off that wall, that's a tough spot to hit it out. We've seen that all week. Ball dies out there in left field.
1 ball and 1 strike on him. Jurado working from the first base side of the rubber. Ahead in the count, 1-2. It is a party-like atmosphere here in this ballpark. 2-strike noise again. Jurado deals. Got it! An emphatic first inning for the big right-hander Ariel Jurado.
And you can see the steady dose of fastballs, the sink getting more and more as he gets going. All of a sudden he catches up to it. Thank you. Change speeds. Break that slider off. Good night.
Brazil scoreless. Panama coming up. Here is the starting 9 for Panama as run out there by the manager, Luis Ortiz. There is so much pop in this lineup. Everybody in this lineup had at least one hit in the opener for Panama, except for the 3-hole hitter, Jonathan Arauz, and he had 2 walks and 2 runs scored. Cordoba, Tejada, Arauz, that potent top third. Jones, Ramos, Caballero in the middle third of the order. Orozco, Sanchez, and Munoz round things out. And Alan Cordoba, the left fielder, gets set to step into the batter's box. 2 for 4 for his team's opener on Saturday.
They'll be going up against Andre Rienzo, 34 years old, broke into the big leagues in 2013. Had a couple of years, White Sox, Marlins. Struggled a little bit with a 6. Again, 34 years old. Well known in Brazil, second Brazilian-born player.
Band is back.
Sure is, and that's Tyler Munn on the cowbell. Love it.
You know, and contributing from afar. I feel like I'm doing my part. Just making sure that I don't want to let the guys down, you know. 2 balls and a strike now on Cordoba. Check that, 1-2 on Cordoba.
And one big thing we talked about with Brazil, the fact they're able to stick around in some of these games against these tough opponents is because they're getting good counts and throwing strikes. Rienzo, don't worry about stuff. Don't worry about trying to blow these hitters away. Get good counts. Make big pitches.
The first Brazilian-born pitcher to ever reach the big leagues, Andre Rienzo, who works on a 1-2 count against another former big leaguer, Alan Cordoba. There you see, it's the only reason that you don't see me on the cowbells because I'm doing it from up here.
Now, Cowbella, where'd he go?
I don't know where he is.
He was front and center the other night. Love it.
1-2 on the way from Rienzo. Cordoba in the air to center. Gabriel Maciel lines it up, 1 out. You also don't see the Taruka down there. The little shaky / scratch instrument.
Did you have to Google that, or you knew from high school?
I got
music?
quite an extensive musical background. Not at all. That was all Tim Fryer, our producer, in my ear. Who learned it from the crew in the truck, I believe. I do love the transparent drum. Oh, there he is. He is there.
Love it.
Those guys are amazing. And we talked about World Baseball Classic atmospheres are just so different from anything you see for a regular season game, especially back home in the U.S. And when you get an opportunity to check out a Classic game, whether it is in Phoenix or Miami next year, or if you're fortunate enough to be in Tokyo or Taichung to get things started for pools A and B, make it happen, because it is a stunning experience as a baseball fan to see games around the globe. Ruben Tejada, the former New York Met, takes strike one over the inside corner.
Yeah, you really feel it as a player. You really do, man. When you mentioned the Tokyo Dome, I remember pitching there in 2017. You can feel it. It just gets louder and louder. You try and step off to silence the noise. It just does not work.
1-1, there for a called strike 2. Speaking of which,
well, this is on home soil, by the way. This is in Sydney. I mean, there's a bronze statue of me outside the stadium. I am absolutely joking. But this is good times. Here we go, Tokyo Dome. Boom.
final batter you ever faced right there. That's with a strikeout. Started your career in the big league with a strikeout, ended your career in the Classic with a strikeout. Ruben Tejada grounds out to his counterpart, Victor Ito, 2 gone.
Yeah, we've talked so much about March and what's on the line for both these teams. Yeah, for Brazil, talking to Steve Finley about the time and energy and effort he has put in to trying to build baseball in Brazil, put this roster together. You look at a population of 200+ million people, a lot of good athletes. And then Panama, I mean, the fact they've loaded up this roster to get to these qualifiers, to get back to the World Baseball Classic. Steve Finley, LaTroy Hawkins, a couple legends.
So 2 gone. And the 3-hole hitter, Jonathan Arauz, into the batter's box. Arauz, like I noted a moment ago, the only member of his team's lineup without a hit in the opener on Saturday, and that's because he took 2 walks, scored a couple of runs.
Yeah, in that game too, 12-run game against Argentina. You're seeing your buddies hit the ball all over the place. I got to say, watching him hit, and you've seen him hit the big leagues, with the Boston Red Sox especially, extremely patient. That's his MO. He's going to make you throw strikes. I got to say, it was admirable to watch him up against Argentina, just dying to do some damage, hit a ball in the gap. He was so patient.
Arauz got 15 games in the big leagues this year between the Boston Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles. Also saw some time on the minor league side, 35 games between AAA Worcester and Norfolk. Also another 3 at High A Aberdeen. Really talented, dynamic bat in there from the left-hand side. He's got his 3rd walk so far the Classic.
Yeah, right on cue. Situation right now, Rienzo. Obviously, you got to throw strikes. But man, Panama, they can lay it on thick. They get a couple guys on. They will start running, moving around those bases. Not afraid to be aggressive.
So now it's L.J. Jones's turn. Jones, a member of the St. Louis Cardinals organization, spent 2021 at Single A Palm Beach, 2022 at High A Peoria, where he was on the roster of Pakistan's sort of de facto manager, Patrick Anderson. Not officially the manager of that Pakistan club, but a guy who was sort of the visible element of the coaching staff. Man, that team was a lot of fun to watch. They only played a couple of games, same with New Zealand, but the baseball future is very bright in those countries. And how about Argentina making a run here onto the penultimate day of the Classic, falling in a thriller 6-5 earlier today here at Estadio Rod Carew to enable Nicaragua to survive and advance to tomorrow.
You can see Rienzo just trying to do a little bit too much right now. A little bit of frustration, pressing the issue a little bit. 2 quick outs. Trying to overthrow just a little bit. Take the extra breath, get that feel back. This is a tough lineup.
2 balls and a strike. The other thing that's an asset for Steve Finley and LaTroy Hawkins and their guys tonight is you've got someone on the mound who's not going to be rattled by this atmosphere.
Right.
Andre Rienzo has pitched in the big leagues. He's been in front of big crowds. it is a whole different beast when you are a team like Argentina that came into Saturday and just got rolled by this Panama team, because you've never seen an atmosphere like this. But Andre Rienzo is not going to be rattled by this atmosphere tonight.
Yeah, and you look at this too, you know, you look at his bio, you're thinking to yourself, okay, last time he pitched in the big leagues was 2015. Pretty far removed. Big pitch right there.
Swing and a miss, but the stolen base is a pretty easy one for Arouse. They got a great jump, and he's in at second.
But the fact that he's been pitching in Mexico of late, I mean, as you know, Tyler, some of those crowds down there, it gets loud. You got the instruments, you got that kind of atmosphere. So this is nothing new for him.
Now dealing with a runner in scoring position. LJ Jones 1 for 4 with a run scored in his team's opener on Saturday. As you look at the two longtime big leaguers at the helm of this Brazil coaching staff, Steve Finley, the manager, LaTroy Hawkins, the pitching coach. Two balls and two strikes on Jones. This crowd waiting to erupt, and they will see Jones get another 2-2 as he fouls that one to the dish.
That's a good breaking ball right there. A little bit too much of the plate. See how aggressive the LJ Jones is, but really good pitch in this situation. You do have to be around in the zone. You don't want to go to 3-2. Just don't spin that ball in the middle of the plate, make a mistake. He's going to get back to that slider right here.
2-2 foul.
Looking for Rienzo. He's had some success in his career. He's pitched in the big leagues. This is one of those moments you kind of, you try and tap in a little bit thinking, okay, do I have the fastball? Can I command this pitch? Can I get this pitch up at the top of the strike zone right here? Challenge LJ Jones. Or do I just live on that slider? I think you got to go up with the fastball, get him to swing right through it.
Rienzo's ready. 2-2. Got him swinging and missing as Kikuchi behind the plate with the block and the tag out, and that will retire the side here in the bottom of the first. Two-out base runner for Panama stranded aboard. We're headed to the second scoreless at Estadio Rod Carew. A packed house tonight here in Panama City, but it was the minority contingent of fans celebrating the end of that first inning on this strikeout.
Look at this. This is a big pitch. I talked about going up in the strikes, and you can see how fired up Rienzo is. You can see his catcher Kikuchi making sure he was going to bounce this. That is a big out. I know it's early. We're only an inning in. You're talking about setting the tone, kind of sending that little ripple effect into that Panamanian dugout to say, you know what, it's going to be a tough matchup out of Rienzo.
So we go to the top half of the second. Ariel Gerardo, who retired the side 3 up, 3 down with a pair of strikeouts in the first, goes to work against the cleanup hitter, Leonardo Reginato. Reginato has been a force at the plate to this point. 5 for 7, 3 doubles, 2 runs batted in, 2 runs scored. Aiming to get his team started here in the top half of 2. Chops one over to third. Easy hop there for Jose Caballero, 1 gone. Here comes the older Lopes brother, Christian Lopes, who spent the 2022 season in the Colorado Rockies organization. Lopes won for his first 9 here in Panama City. Big cut and miss. There we go. Panama's mascot hanging out for the second time this weekend. What is that, a cat? I think it's a cat.
I was just trying to figure that out. I was waiting for him maybe to turn around, show the back of that jersey. I love it.
No balls and 2 strikes. Lopes checked that in the Oakland Athletics organization this year. Brother Tim in that Rocky system. I think that was a cat. That's what I'm going with. Trying to urge this Panama crowd on as they get behind Ariel Jurado. 0-2.
We've talked about that sinker from Jurado, the pitch he throws down in the zone. What about pitches he throws in and up? That four-seam fastball, he hasn't got the same velocity, consistently low 90s. The pitch in all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. I'll tell you what, though, when he wants it 93 with heavy sink, another example of that. Not a whole lot you can do with that pitch when it is on, except slam it into the ground.
Ball and 2 strikes on Christian Lopes. Made his big league debut this year with 4 games with Oakland. 53 games for AAA Las Vegas. He slashed .257, .347, .374. Spent some time the last couple of years in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, the Texas Rangers organization. Prior to that, he was with the Toronto Blue Jays for the start of his career. 1-2 just off the outside corner. Evens the count.
It's a good at-bat. Christian Lopes able to foul that slider off, lay off that fastball.
Jurado winds and fires. 2-2. Pounded on a high hop over in fair territory. Nice pick and throw by Caballero, but it pulls Jones off the bag. That'll be a 1-out infield single.
This is a great job from Christian Lopes. Knowing he's made that weak contact, it's going to take that extra bounce and hustling out of the box. Yeah, sometimes you get frustrated, you hit that ball into the ground, you kind of dip your head, take that weak first step out of the box, but knowing the fact that you have to hurry this throw, all of a sudden gets him a base hit.
Yeah, that was a lightning quick transfer by Caballero with the hands over at third. That's always such a tough play, that high hopper, knowing you've got somebody who runs fairly well. And no chance for Caballero to get Lopes at first. So now brings up Lucas Rojo. Second baseman, first pitch swinging. 0-1. Lucas 2 for his first 8. Couple of runs batted in, a run scored and a walk for Brazil's first 2 games. They got this thing started back on day number 1, as we noted, with a 12-7 win over New Zealand in a hard-fought game. New Zealand just didn't go away in that one. Looked like Brazil might put the mercy rule on them. New Zealand fought back, got within striking distance late. But then Brazil able to really dominate Nicaragua in the first meeting between those 2 teams, and a meeting that we could conceivably see again. If Brazil loses this game, or if Panama loses this game, They are off to square off with Nicaragua coming up tomorrow night.
I tell you what, Brazil is a little shakier when you watch them against Team New Zealand. But man, then when you saw them against Nicaragua, they were here making that statement against a tough Nicaraguan team.
0-2 from Gerardo. Out in front of the plate. Pitcher will get it himself and record the out at first. Lopes up to second. He's in scoring position with 2 gone for Fernando Luciano.
When you're a ground ball pitcher like Gerardo is, that's been his bread and butter his entire career, and you kick it off the first 15, 20 pitches where you were just seeing that weak, off-balance contact where everyone's just slamming the ball into the ground, your confidence goes through the roof. All of a sudden you can start expanding the strike zone a little bit. You can start getting more comfortable attacking hitters. You know, your ball's got that good sink on it.
So Luciano batting now in an RBI spot potentially. First base runner aboard for Brazil tonight, now in scoring position with 2 gone. And 1 on it. Fernando 1 for 6. He's out of Campo Grande, Brazil, and he's one of a handful of players on this roster who has spent time over the last few seasons in the Japanese industrial leagues, which are not really minor leagues. They're more kind of an equivalent of independent league baseball in Japan. They're not affiliated with Nippon Professional Baseball Teams, NPB, in any direct sense. Count is 0-2 on him. He played for the Saitama Bears, did Fernando.
Yeah, it's a big commitment to keeping your career alive, playing in the indie leagues in Japan. It's a tough place to be. Just like this 0-2 count right now, 2 outs.
0-2. The atmosphere in this ballpark tonight is just outstanding. We saw fans coming in. We think we saw fans arriving at this ballpark when we were leaving after game 1.
Right.
The Panamanian Baseball Federation posted yesterday on social media that they had agreed with a local mall nearby to open some extra parking garages there and run shuttles over here. And there were shuttles arriving at 2 in the afternoon today for this game, which was scheduled for an 8 p.m. first pitch. That's how hyped these fans have been for this matchup. And they have turned up on a Tuesday night to try to get their team across the finish line and back into the World Baseball Classic. 1-2 pitch. Called. Nope.
Wow.
Thought that was going to be it. I pulled the trigger, and our home plate umpire, Austin Jones, did not.
Man, this is very well executed. Maybe just down below the strike zone, but man.
So that changes the feel of this at bat. It goes from 1-2 to 2-2. Gerardo will recycle the signs now with Carlos Sanchez as backstop.
And second guessing some of the signs he's putting down right now. You just make a big pitch, like that's kind of the recipe. Then all of a sudden you have to press the reset button, figure out what you're going to throw next. You've already thrown that slider, that changeup as well.
2-2. That one's there for a called strike 3. And the 3rd strikeout of the evening for Ariel Gerardo is his 2nd to close an inning. Freezes Luciano, even a little bit of a mix-up. And we go to the bottom of the 2nd, scoreless in Panama City.
Yeah, this pitch is nasty. That's 91 with some serious bowling ball action on it. You can see right there his catcher, Sanchez, getting crossed up as well. No pitch com here for Panama for any of these teams. So you will see a couple cross-ups here and there. I was thinking about this too, Tyler. Once you get to March, situation where you have a team like, we've seen the Czech Republic, then you have Team USA. So you have obviously the different spectrum when it comes to guys playing in the big leagues and guys who are not. But PitchCom, it's a situation where is Team USA, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, are they going to be using PitchCom, and all of a sudden some of these countries we've seen in this qualifier not have access to that? It's a huge advantage.
Bouncing ball out towards short off the bat of the Panamanian leadoff man here in the second inning. Jose Ramos is retired.
Yeah, because you think about it, I know when that broke onto the scene, it was one of these things that all these obviously MLB players. I remember being in spring training with the Mariners and talking about, do you like it? Is it comfortable? And what are the buttons? I get used to even the buttons, getting used to programming what the buttons say. I mean, for example, there is a button. I don't know if I can talk about this too much, but you can press it says breathe, take a breath, breathe. You can program whatever you want. You can program different accents in there if you want. It's fascinating. And a situation like that, all of a sudden you get to Pool D, for example, and you've got 3 countries, Puerto Rico, the DR, Venezuela, using PitchCom. I guarantee you some of these other countries will get supplied that, but it'll be interesting.
All right, now let's just say you can program different accents in there. Let's just say you're working with, longtime battery mate of yours. You got Rob Johnson back there or something.
Rob Johnson. That's a name I've known for a while.
Let's just say you're making him throw the Aussie accent on there.
No, look, I
just to get comfortable.
I need to be dialed in. I don't need to hear some random Aussie accent in my ear. Let me tell you.
You need Kenji Jojima working with an Aussie accent to get to your.
Just
all
give
the communication?
Yeah, no, just give me the robot, Siri, whatever. I don't want to hear some, hey, fastball, mate. No chance.
Speaking of Aussie accents, I just want to alert the viewers to a moment that you and I had earlier today. You got a phone call from your dad earlier.
Right. Check it in.
Calling you from New South Wales. And your dad, for those who don't know, longtime strength coach, a guy who's in tremendously good shape, as are you. And he saw a photo of us from earlier today, and he told me...
A photo? More like a painting.
And he saw the painting.
Amazing.
That your good friend and mine, Andy Brown, did. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little while. But he said to me, quote, Tyler, I've seen bigger arms on a clock, mate. And then he said, and what was the follow-up? I've seen bigger shoulders on a brown snake.
Brown snake. A classic one-liner that has been reused for the last 25 years of my life.
I got roasted from like 6,000 miles away.
Right.
I just got dragged by your dad. Now I know where you get it from.
That's what he was calling about.
There's a drive in the air to right field. Luciano moving back. Warning track leaping, and he makes the grab. What a catch by Fernando Luciano on the warning track to Rob Rodrigo Orozco, and 3 up, 3 down goes Panama here in the bottom of the second. We're headed to the third, all scoreless at Estadio Rod Carew. This big Panama crowd waiting for something to explode about, and Rodrigo Orozco almost gave it to him, but he's robbed by his counterpart, Fernando Luciano, and right.
Yeah, from our angle, too. That ball looked like it was getting out of here. Nice catch, too. You've had a couple chances to play that wall. This qualifier's gotten pretty deep. That second last day of it. That's a good catch. Timed that up perfectly.
So the leadoff man for Brazil here in the top of the third is Marcio Kikuchi. We have seen both Kikuchi and Daniel Molinari get some work behind the plate for Brazil in this qualifier. Kikuchi playing his ball at home in the Brazilian League. He is from Atibaia. Daniel Molinari playing in the Independent Pioneer League with the Northern Colorado Owls in the United States. All in 2 strikes on Kikuchi. Marcio 1 for 3, a walk, an RBI, run scored.
I'm wondering if Molinari didn't quite recover from that backswing we saw on that first day against New Zealand. Because you figure he was the starting catcher coming into this.
Swung on and missed. Kikuchi gone 4 strikeouts already for Ariel Jurado, who is feeling it in the third.
This is a fastball straight challenge, middle of the plate with some movement, but just too much, especially when you're trying to protect against the changeup and the slider. Jurado has featured tonight already.
So the leadoff man retired, and that'll bring up one of Brazil's other former big leaguers, Paulo Orlando. No hit so far for Orlando in the qualifier, 0 for 5, couple of walks.
World Series champion with the Kansas City Royals, hitting in that 9-hole.
Paulo Orlando was probably the first guy that I ever saw and thought, wow, I didn't realize they played that much baseball in Brazil. I remember seeing him in the Carolina League when he was starting his climb toward Kansas City. He played for the Wilmington Blue Rocks in the Carolina League. That was all the way back in 2009. And then Andre Rienzo later saw him in the Carolina League in 2011 when he was coming up with the Chicago White Sox system through Winston-Salem.
I gotta say, it's amazing, how much airtime you get, obviously, playing the World Series. He's Kansas City Royals, and they kept talking about the fact he was from Brazil.
Yeah.
And I saw him in here, I'm like, I remember this. It's a great story.
Behind in the count here against Jurado. And Orlando wants time. Paulo, a couple of runs scored and an RBI already in this qualifier, but still looking for his first hit out of the 9 spot. A guy coming up on his 38th birthday on the first day of November. Check out 37th birthday. I majored in broadcasting, not good at math. Ball and 2 strikes on him now. Jurado from the windup. Called strike 3.
Yeah, one thing that's prevalent when you have former big leaguers or guys you played against, you have a better scouting report. You can see right now, Jurado has that good fastball, but he stays exclusively with that pitch, tries to climb the ladder, and then just straight challenge. Again, sinking fastball, good movement, good command. That has been that bread and butter. Keeping it simple right now. The other thing that does too, now all of a sudden you turn that lineup over, you haven't shown a whole lot of secondary stuff in big counts. And you can pull that out of the back pocket and just give that extra pitch to protect against if you're Brazil.
So 2 gone, 3 straight strikeouts for Ariel Jurado, who has fanned 5 already. Maceo flew out to left field to start this game in the first.
And you have a feeling at some point in this game, if this game stays the way it is, this man right here, we have seen it, will be a factor. Every game Brazil has played, Marcel has been in the thick of it. Whether it be a big hit, some base running.
He plays a good center field as well. 3 for 9 with a couple of doubles coming into the day today, a walk. Now, the top half of this order is really what was the biggest factor for Brazil's offense. The first 2 wins of their Classic qualifying stint. Here they are on the penultimate night in Panama City. Looking for a 2-out base runner in the top of the third. It's one of those swing pitches we talked about in the early game today. From 1-1, it goes to 2-1 on a close pitch.
Yeah, you can hear the crowd wanting that call back. Again, Marcel showing bunt. Like I said, he's a spark plug at the top of the lineup. He'll do those little things. He will factor in this game at some point.
2-1 over to first. And a pickup over there for L.J. Jones to retire the side. Brazil's got just one base runner through 3. We're headed to the bottom of the third inning, scoreless in Panama.
The environment is so festive.
Microphone 1 2 1 2. Pack the whole place.
The fans here enjoying what they're seeing at this time.
Marching to the World Baseball Classic.
This big Panama-friendly crowd headed for the bottom of the third inning with their team and Brazil all scoreless through 2.5. Back at Estadio Rod Carew, we're already having fun. Just one hit, one base runner on each side. Panama's was Jonathan Arauz with a 2-out walk in the first inning, and as we head to the third, it'll be Carlos Sanchez, Edgar Munoz, and then back at the top of the order, Alan Cordova.
Yeah, this crowd's having some fun, but they want to see their team just explode at some point. You know, it's not far away, but I got to say, Brazil, they're pitching. When they throw strikes, they are in really good shape.
We talked about this a couple of nights ago with that Argentina team. Being able to get into a game, get into the rhythm and flow of a game when the crowd is loud, boisterous, and so firmly against your side. That's so important. Argentina saw things kind of spin away in the middle innings of that game, but that's massive. As a bouncing ball right side, gobbled up by Christian Lopes, who flips to his covering starter, 1 up, 1 down.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind, too, with Andre Rienzo, yes, he's pitched in the Mexican League, but we've seen this. We saw this back in Germany as well. You come to a tournament like this, you're 34 years old, you've kind of pitched sporadically in and out of the bullpen. It's not like you're coming off, and we see this in the playoffs we're about to watch in the big leagues, where guys are in pitching shape. What I mean by that, as a starting pitcher, you've thrown 5, 6, 7 innings every 5th day. With tournaments like this, you get done with your season, you may go home, and then you kind of sit around and wait, and then you come to tournaments like this, and you're expected to go into deep pitch counts. And you'll see when the fatigue sets in, if it does right now for Rienzo, that command will start to go.
Edgar Munoz unable to get the bat out of the way of that one. Or was he? Thought he got a piece of that to foul it. Instead, pulled it back. It's 1-0. Munoz, limited action so far. 1 for 1 in that first game for Panama. Walked, scored a couple of runs.
But on the flip side of that point, you talk about if you're in shape or not. I think adrenaline just takes you. You sit on the adrenaline magic carpet. You just ride that thing into the night. go as deep as you can. You wake up, your arm is absolutely dead, but it does not matter. It's a chance to get to this World Baseball Classic.
Bunt down. Enzo's got this one. Easy play, 2 gone. You know, the other thing that's an asset for Steve Finley on the Brazil side and for Luis Ortiz on the Panama side is you tell your starters, hey, we'll ride it with you as long as we need. Because we know you're not going tomorrow. We're not going to piecemeal this thing, keep you under 30 pitches, try to have you available, blah, blah, blah. If you're good until 85 pitches, which is the limit, of course, here in these World Baseball Classic qualifier games, we'll roll with you for 85 pitches.
For sure. We saw that with Martin Snyder with the Czech Republic back in Germany.
Right.
That was so impressive. We talked about 19 innings. That's all he threw during his season. And the biggest question I kept talking about early in the game, how long is this going to last for? He just rolled that deep into that game against Germany to get a chance against Team Spain.
6 innings for Schneider. Turn things over to the bullpen. And the Czech Republic qualifying for its first ever World Baseball Classic appearance on the strength of some strong work by Marek Minarek out of the pen. Schneider went 6 1/3 in that game. Minarek cleaned up the final 2 2/3 to knock out Spain, a 3-1 win. The grounder over 2 short. Some really good work by these starting pitchers so far as we are scoreless through 3. Headed to the middle third of this game in Panama City. The 4th inning at Estadio Rod Carew in Panama City. Alongside the former big leaguer Ryan Roland Smith, my name is Tyler Mon. We got a scoreless game through 3, and first pitch swinging, Vitor Ito finds himself down to the count 0-1. Really impressive work by both these starting pitchers so far.
Yeah, it really is. Gerardo, you knew he was going to come out of the gates firing. See that good velocity too, man. When you see 92s, 94s from a guy who, you know, we talked about this a lot.
Ito's bat hit that thing twice, and they won't get him at first, but there's going to be a challenge to this. Because that thing came off the bat, bounced back up, and hit it again. And immediately Carlos Sanchez pointed it out, and now Ariel Jurado is doing the same. Good hustle by Ito.
Yeah, you can see that speed by Ito. We've seen him drop that bunt down quite a bit. But you're right, Tyler. It looked like he hit the bat twice, and they're going to challenge this.
And we got to make sure that this is a reviewable play because Luis Ortiz is out to talk it over with our umpiring crew, and this may just be a conference to see if anybody got a good look at that. It's certainly seemed pretty obvious from up here, and obviously it's a very different angle. Here it is.
There's the bunt. You want to see that?
Wow, maybe it didn't.
Maybe it didn't.
The thing that made it seem like it was obvious was you could hear it from up here.
Great bunt, by the way.
I think it did.
It did. Yeah, it definitely changed direction. And you can see exactly straight away. You see Sanchez pointing as if because he knows he's got really no chance.
And they will now put Ito back at home plate. So after the conference out in front of the pitcher's mound, Ito returns, and now Steve Finley wants an explanation. Man, from that side view, I thought maybe we did miss that, but it certainly, the sound of it was clear from up here, and it just redirected, kind of deadened that ball too when it came back up off the bat for the second time.
Yeah, you can see right now, Steve Finley's kind of questioning this because all of a sudden, they called it a base hit, they called it fair, and he's kind of looking like, well, hold on a minute, it's not like you guys watch video. So now he's saying, okay, which one of you guys around the infield decide to overturn this?
Who ratted us out on this?
Yeah, that's a tough break. Trying to generate some action, some base runners against Gerardo, who we've seen has been tough to generate anything against. Just the one hit from Panama.
You could see Steve Finley look at Dane Ponsack, the third base umpire, and say it hit his bat. So Ito back in there now on an 0-2 count. And he bounces this one out towards short. This is a tough play, ranging to his left. Tejada, nice throw, and a better dig at first by L.J. Jones, one out.
Man, Ruben Tejada, you can see him bobbling this ball and stays with it. He knows Ito can run. Never ever stops those feet either. Those feet are constantly moving behind him. Man, good play.
So one gone after an eventful trip to the plate for Vitor Ito, and with the three-hole hitter Tim Lopes climbing in. This has been some very impressive work from Ariel Gerardo. He's trying to go through the top third of this order spotless for the second time. Lopes a strikeout swinging to end the first inning. Tim drives this one well to center field, but backing up on it, Jose Ramos has got it, 2 out.
Yeah, you can see that ball just kind of die up there in center field, but for Tim Lopes, just getting that ball in the air, that's been the biggest challenge. Getting that ball off the ground against Gerardo, and that turbo sinker he's been featuring tonight.
So 2 outs, and here is Leonardo Reginado. This really impressive third baseman on this Brazil side. Now 5 for his first 8 after being retired in his first trip to the plate here tonight. Looking to get something started with 2 outs in the 4th, and the pitch there for a called strike to him, 0-1. Well, coming up in the bottom of the 4th inning, hoping to be joined by Panamanian legend Carlos Lee, longtime big leaguer. El Caballo standing by. Talk some baseball in his home country as they pack this ballpark once again here on a Tuesday night in Panama City. Trying to push this team back to the World Baseball Classic. One-one, crushed down the left field line. This thing hooking toward the corner, and that is a foul ball.
And now all of a sudden, in the middle of this lineup, Brazil, we talked about how potent it can be, starting to get that ball in the air. And a couple sinkers that flatten out a little bit.
Not fouled by much. That's maybe the best contact that we have seen tonight from a Brazilian bat. So ball and 2 strikes on Reginado. Taking his time getting back into the box. He was hustling around first base looking for extra bases.
There's that crowd Trying to will strike 3 right here. See if he stays with that fastball, goes to that breaking ball.
1-2 back up the middle. That'll be scooped round into the baseball by Jonathan Arauz. Really impressive. And we are headed to the bottom of the 4th, scoreless in Panama City. Rod Carew in Panama City. Tyler Mon, Ryan Rowland-Smith, and thrilled to be joined by a longtime former big leaguer, a Panamanian baseball legend. El Caballo, Carlos Lee, joins us. Welcome. It's so good to see you.
Man, thank you for having me here.
You got to catch the first pitch tonight.
Yeah.
You got a warm welcome from these fans. What's it like seeing these fans in this ballpark again?
Man, it's awesome to see a lot of these fans supporting my team, Panama. It's a great tournament. You know, the stadium is beautiful. Beautiful weather, and Panama has a good team, so hopefully we can make it this year.
This is a very impressive Panama squad, and we saw in their opener just how good this team is. I mean, they rolled out there an 11-0 win over Argentina. When you watch this team and you see, you know, so much of what you've helped build with Panamanian baseball over the years, what do you like most about this group that Luis Ortiz and his staff have put together?
I mean, it's a good team. You know, it's a good team. We got, for the first time, I think we got 9 players with professional experience. We lack of that on the past classics, you know, qualifying. But I think that the group he has is very complete and with experience, but this is most important.
Bouncing ball over to third by the leadoff man, Ruben Tejada, 1 out.
You ever get a chance, Carlos, you ever get a chance to play here in Panama for your country, in front of your home crowd?
Oh, man. I mean, I played in the big leagues with 50,000 people.
I know, but I'm saying,
But
you had a chance to play, come back
the
here and
feeling of 10,000 people here is amazing.
Right.
I mean, it's something that you can explain. I mean, it's awesome to have the opportunity to play in front of your home people.
Carlos, we've talked with guys who have played in a lot of these editions of the World Baseball Classic. You got a chance to play in 2 of them, 2006 in the first one, and then again in the qualifiers in 2012 for the 2013 Classic. Take us back to that first one. What was that like? We talked with Chase Utley when we were in Germany for the qualifier a couple of weeks ago, and he said there were so many unknowns of what the Classic was going to be like. What was it like for you guys on that Panama team?
I mean, for us, that was great to have the opportunity to get invited to that Classic, because at the first, you know, they took by invitation. So to have Panama there, that was awesome. And I mean, go against other countries as a country being a professional, because every other World Cup is non-professional. So
right.
That was the first time, you know, you got the opportunity to have Dominican Republic with all the professionals, USA. I mean, that was like impressive to see those matches. USA won against Dominican. That was awesome.
Yeah, we talked about this with Adam Jones and even Chase Utley, and I think that going back to 2006, Miguel Batista was with the Dominican Republic, and he said that he had a tough time with that Dominican team keeping guys off their roster. I mean, they had so many guys, and growing up in Australia, like it's so special to play for your country, and I think that when you look at 2017 moving into the next one, I feel like the US has kind of caught on to figure out how special that is. What did that mean for you to play on that stage? You mentioned the fact that it was the first time that professionals, the best in the world, could play. Well, how special was that for you to wear that Panama across the chest?
I mean, that was one of the best moments of my career, because to have opportunity to have Panama on my chest, that was awesome. And at that level of competition, because, I mean, being honest, I mean, it's tough for us to go against USA, Dominican, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, but we were there. We were there.
That's what matters.
And we did great. I mean, we lost against Cuba 3-2, against Puerto Rico 5-4. So we compete.
You're right there. Right there with them.
Yeah, we compete.
And Carlos, to be somebody who got to see it in that first edition in 2006, you also played in the qualifiers in 2012, and this atmosphere is incredible. But the pressure of the qualifiers is different from just playing in that first class. What do you remember about the second time that you got to be part of that team and having to go through the qualifying round?
I mean, having to go against, through qualifying, being in the hometown, that was pressure. That was pressure because people come here to expecting you to win. I mean, you can be the underdog, but they here to see you win.
You're the home team, so you get that pressure regardless.
And I mean, we go against Colombia. They show up with 25 people on the roster being professionals. And that's what I'm saying. This year is different for Panama. Now we got professional players playing on the qualifier.
Panama's only had 2 base runners tonight. They have both been in the person of Jonathan Arauz, the walk in the first inning and the single here in the fourth. And now he's aboard over there at first with 2 gone after Jones pops out to bring up Jose Ramos.
So where do you spend most of your time? Once you got done playing, where are you based now?
I'm based in here, Panama.
Okay.
I came back home. I got businesses here. I run a ranch with cattle. I got horses. Hey, that's me.
Carlos, I remember you and I were in spring training together with the Houston Astros in 2011, and I remember everyone's like, man, he has got an operation going on, with your cattle, with your ranch. I remember that back when you were playing. I could imagine it now. I'm sure you're pretty dialed in with that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I created a life after baseball.
Yeah.
So, when I retired, I was excited about going home, run my business. And people say, you don't miss baseball? I said, sometimes, when I'm not on the ranch.
Is home still Agua Dulce? You were born there, correct?
Agua Dulce.
So now you get a chance to be away from the game and kind of experience it on your own terms. When you come out here to a ballpark and people see you, what's the reaction from Panamanian fans?
Man, I retired 10 years now.
Yeah.
I've been retired for 10 years, and I still walk around here, and I have to take a lot of pictures.
It's a good problem to have.
It is. It's a good problem to have. It's even sitting here, too, like even through these booths, everyone's like trying to glance in.
Which is pretty cool.
Carlos Lee's. They're not looking at Tyler Munn. They're looking exactly what they're looking at.
That is very true. Carlos, this event and what it means to Panamanian baseball, the growth of this roster, you said, especially now having a lineup that's full of professional players, how have you seen the Panamanian baseball community kind of rally around the World Baseball Classic over the last couple of decades?
I mean, I think that Panama is going to keep growing in baseball. We got a lot of more players in the minor leagues. They understand now that you have to fight for the spot. I mean, before they get signed, they think that they made it.
Yeah.
Now these new kids knows that they have to fight for it. One time I asked one of the MLB people, and he said, the Panamanians got talent, size, and they know what they're doing. They, they study, they go to school, but they all got something back home to do.
Right.
And then he said, you ask the Dominican kids, you ask Venezuelan kids, Puerto Rico, he said, I'm going to make it. I mean, he said that was the difference between the Panamanians and the other countries.
Interesting.
That's so funny because, you talk about that and, some people, whether you're from Australia or the US, you can't have options, so to speak.
Go.
Stolen base. El Caballo's urging the runner to head to third, and Donovan Brown does so safely. Get up and get going.
Hey, Carlos Lee, we can't be biased here, buddy. We're in the booth.
I'm sorry, we got excited.
No, that's fine. That's all good.
Excited.
No,
Got excited.
do not apologize for that. And that's what makes this atmosphere and the passion of this fan base so great. We saw people, we left the day game today at 2 o'clock this afternoon. People were already showing up for the night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got a great stadium, but I mean, the only problem here is you get traffic going out of the city for the people that come to work, and the stadium is on the way. So it's people going out back home, it's people coming to the stadium. So
everybody's on the same road. We did get a little bit of that coming in today. We'll get a little bit going out of the parking lot a little later, as there are a ton of folks here and a lot of cars. And now a big spot coming up, a 2-ball, 2-strike count on Jose Ramos with a runner at third, and the 2-2 is high and in, 3-2.
And I take a wild pitch.
That'll work. This has been a really well-played game so far, and that's one of the things that stood out about this qualifier. Pretty much every game has been tense, has had its moments of tension. Now, obviously, Panama rolled in that win over Argentina, 11-0, but this is, I would imagine, watching these guys with that name across their jersey, this is a little more nerve-wracking than if you were to tune into like an Astros or White Sox game today.
Yeah, it is. Believe me, it is. It's more pressure having Panama on the chest than having the Houston Astros.
3-2 fouled away. We'll do it again.
And speaking of pressure too, Rienzo just has to keep repeating those big pitches, man. He is up against it right now. We talked about this too, Tyler, the fact that fatigue starts to settle in a little bit, not just physically, but mentally as well.
I mean, it's kind of hard to adjust to this type of weather too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, between the humidity and, the threats of rain and the heat. Andre Rienzo ready to go. Jose Ramos waiting. And a 3-2 is swung on and fouled again.
And you can see him staying with that breaking ball as well in this big count. Carlos, Team Panama ever asked you about coaching, getting on that coaching staff?
Yeah, I was the manager on the last qualifying.
Not this year?
No.
Too much time on the ranch?
No.
Another 3-2 upcoming.
I'll probably go if we make it.
There you go.
There you go.
That's good to know. Some breaking news here on this World Baseball Classic qualifier telecast. 3-2 pitch. Ripping well to left. Moving back is Tim Lopes to the warning track. Gone!
Should have stayed with the wrecking ball.
Exactly. We were talking about Rienzo having to come up with a big pitch one after the next. That breaking ball, he went with the fastball, he tried to challenge. And goodbye. This pitch is up in the strike zone, gets a pitch to hit, eyes light up, see ya.
Right down the middle.
Also, I'm hoping we'll get it. Jose Ramos flipped his bat to the moon. After that, flipped it so hard his helmet flew off.
That's the new school.
Yeah.
Back on the days, you're not allowed to do that.
Carlos, you played in this ballpark. You've been in this ballpark a lot. We heard it's not easy to get the ball out to left.
No.
The ball does not travel over left.
Not travel with it at all. Ball was better to the right side.
What a shot. A visit to the mound to talk things over with Rienzo as Panama has finally broken onto the board. Did not have a hit until this inning. The one-out single by Arouse, who stole second, went to third on an error, and Jose Ramos puts his team in front 2-0 with a big shot out to left field. And now it's Jose Caballero. First pitch down low. 1-0.
And Brazil really leaning heavily on Rienzo. He has been dealing tonight, obviously, that big mistake. Heard it from Carlos Lee. Should have stayed with the breaking ball.
I mean, he make good pitches, one
Yeah.
after the other one, wide into the foul. I mean, in that situation, I stay with the breaking
Absolutely.
ball. Either I walk him, start over with the next one. I mean, this kid got power.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of that bat flip? That is incredible. A little different school.
I'm in different school. I'm not really into that one.
Swing and a miss on the 1-1, and it's 1-2. But I mean, that is what this event brings out, the emotion that it brings out of these guys, and especially to be able to do that in front of a home crowd. And, you know, for somebody like Jose Ramos playing in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, you're not getting this in the Midwest League with the Great Lakes. No way.
No.
No disrespect to the Midwest League, but this is a whole different beast as the 1-2 is high, 2-2.
This is a party.
This is a party. That is the way to describe it.
You can hear that sound going.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, if you were in that band down there, what instrument are you playing? Where are you going to go?
Everyone. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be good at it, but I'll try.
That would be my exact thing.
You know
I
what?
talked about the cowbell.
I'm on the band.
Okay. You got all of them. Maybe not well played, but you got all of them played. That's all that matters. 2 balls and 2 strikes here on Caballero. 1 for 2 coming into the night tonight. A fly out to right field in the second inning.
Now all of a sudden you got Brazil getting that bullpen ready to roll. Man, you were really praying he could get through this 4th inning. Not the case. You can see him now, the frustration starting to get to him. We talked about this before that at-bat, that big 2-run bomb. Starting to get exhausted. The heat as well, we've talked about that. More so psychologically, all of a sudden, starting to wear him down.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, you're watching things kind of spin away from yourself in an inning like this. That's got to be mentally draining for a pitcher.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
And he put pressure on the team.
Absolutely.
Big time.
And, you know, Jurado's playing and pitching a good game.
Really good game. 3-2 and trying to hold up. That is a swing for Jose Caballero and strikeout number 2 for Andre Rienzo. But the big shot from Jose Ramos. Should have stayed with the breaking ball. Headed to the bottom of the 4th, top of the 5th. Carlos Lee sticking with us. With a very familiar face to baseball fans all across the globe. 3-time Big League All-Star, 14-year MLB veteran Carlos Lee joining us in the booth. He was Panama's good luck charm in the bottom half of the 4th inning. A 2-run homer to get this Panama squad into the lead as Luis Ortiz and his team out in front. What does it feel like watching the highlights, especially the old highlights,
awesome.
The old White Sox highlights?
Man, that was good.
You were good. We were talking about this the other day, actually. When we look at your career numbers, you're one of those guys who stands out as like you were always there and you were always good. Every season, the consistency over the course of your career is remarkable. Do you attribute that to anything in particular, that the fact that late in your career you were still as productive as the early years?
Preparation?
Yeah.
Preparation. I mean, I always work hard. I try to stay in the best shape possible, working on my swing every day. I mean, that was my game. My bad.
When
So I
you
have
would-
to keep it sharp.
When you would go home to the ranch, do you have a facility there? Do you have a cage where you taking hacks at home on the ranch?
No,
It's all
Pretty
business.
cool. You're pretty cool.
no, but you know what? I was always early.
Oh, what a play.
Oh,
Out and short, nearly
man, we need to challenge that one.
a spectacular play by Ruben Tata. There
Man,
may
we
be
need
a
to
challenge coming.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, I think that 100% you need to challenge that.
Oh, that's an out.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
That is an out
easily.
at first. What a play by Ruben Tejada to get the
man, how you call
first
that
baseman
save?
Christian Lopes.
Man, Ruben Tejada, we've seen him
Oh, man.
in a big league uniform a ton. Man, seeing him in person right now, he has not lost a step.
And he's steady.
He
Real
is.
good.
That's one thing.
That's a guy you can count on
That
to make
seems
a big play.
so common throughout this Panama lineup in defensive alignment. These guys are just steady.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a hallmark, really, of Panamanian baseball. The last several years, as this domestic league has grown and stuff, when you see players today and what they have, the opportunities, versus when you were young and you were coming up, what do you think is the biggest asset that young Panamanian players have today?
More time to play.
Wow. There it is.
You know, more time to play. I
Yeah.
mean, when I play Little League, we play Saturdays.
Yeah.
One game. No practice. I mean, we use 2 bats. Wow. Now you get the kids. My kid is 8 years old. They practice Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They play Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So growing up, they get to play. They get to more coaching that before. Before you go by your ability. That's it. It wasn't somebody to teach you how to hit, how to do different things.
Out in the left center field, slicing over Alan Corbin, 2 gone.
Okay.
Dropped it on the transfer.
Carlos,
There's the out.
I've got to ask you this. Early on in your career, and you did face him quite a bit, but another legend here from Panama, and we all know who he is, Mariano Rivera. I pulled up a clip of you taking him deep when you were with the White Sox. Now, did you guys know each other before you made it to the big leagues, and he did as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew each other. I mean, we were not that many.
Yeah, right.
So we all know each other. Yeah.
Well, you were 3 for 12 against Mariano. How about that with a bomb?
That was good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
man.
Anybody to go 3 for 12 against Mariano. 250 against Mariano might as well put you in the Hall of Fame for that. What was your story of getting discovered? When you first got signed, how did you first come about being in front of scouts and getting that first offer?
I mean, we were playing on the tournaments here in Panama, and basically that's how every kid. Now it's different.
Yeah.
Now it's different. Now kids get scouts after 12 years old. They prepare them, train them, coach them before you get to play in the tournaments, and then that's why the scouts get to see you playing here. That's how I got drafted, signed.
What was your first reaction when you heard from a scout like, oh, I could do this professional? This is a thing I can do for a living?
Oh man, that was awesome. You know, growing up, you always watch TV,
Right.
You know, MLB. You know, back on the days when we play on the streets, everybody wanted to be Jose Canseco.
Yeah.
He got power. And you know, something that was funny that I got the opportunity to play with Canseco.
Yeah.
With the White Sox, and I told him, I said, man, when I was 12 years old, I was you.
I wanted to be you.
I wanted to be you. Now I'm your teammate.
That's awesome.
But I guess for Panamanian kids now, the opportunity to play more, to have more games, more tournaments. I mean, kids, 7, 8 years old, they play all year long.
Yeah.
And you said you have a son, you have a couple.
Yeah.
Are they playing?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
play. But that opportunity to get more games in, I think that's going to make the difference.
Well, and anybody who's at this game tonight, if you haven't played baseball yet and you're a little kid, this is going to hook you. Carlos Lee, El Caballo, thank you so
Yeah,
much for
thank you
stopping
for
by.
having me here, man.
Panama's good luck charm as we head to the bottom of the 5th. It's a 2-0 lead for the home team. Kiss cam time at Estadio Rod Carew here in Panama City, Panama. As we move along to the bottom of the 5th.
There you go.
There we go.
Good job, buddy. First date, what do you think? First date or?
Could you imagine being on the Kiss cam on the first date?
Man. I mean, I shy away from it anytime I'm like, oh man, you're doing a Kiss cam.
Please don't show me.
I've been married for, 10 years now?
Moving into the bottom of the 5th, Rodrigo Orozco will lead things off for Panama. Man, massive thanks to El Caballo Carlos Lee for joining us in the bottom of the 4th and the top of the 5th. How much fun was that?
That was great. You could hear how fired up he was just along with this crowd when you saw that big 2-run bomb. He said it. He was their good luck charm.
He was.
In, all of a sudden, things started to change.
Start getting some base runners on. The 2-run homer from Jose Ramos. That will go down as a core memory in my broadcasting career. Ramos crossing home plate and Carlos Lee chuckling and saying, should have stuck with the breaking ball.
Yeah. Just discreetly. He looked at me as if to say, hey, look, hey, you dumb pitcher.
You know how it is. Did you look up? How many times did you face him?
That's a good question. I'll have to have a look.
We'll get that dugout. Yeah. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Rodrigo Orozco.
But when you put his name into the system, one of the first things that pops up is a big video of him taking Mariano Rivera deep. And you think about that, right?
That's amazing.
You know, the fact that, obviously Mariano just blazed onto the scene 1996 with the Yankees. All of a sudden becomes a god here in a country that really follows the Yankees, which goes back to the 60s. You know, and so all of a sudden you're facing him. Probably looked up to him just a little bit, get up, and all of a sudden take him deep, man. What a time.
Two-2 pitch on the way.
Tell you what, they are leaning heavily Andre Rienzo. And for good reason, too. Look, he's given up that 2-run bomb, but besides that, he has been so good.
3-2 in, and Rodrigo Orozco is aboard with a leadoff walk here in the 5th.
And here's that slider of his. Stick with that breaker ball. 3-2. Not challenging. We saw him challenge last inning. Again, we talked about the fatigue, and Carlos Lee actually brought this up. El Caballo talked about the heat as well.
Yeah.
He can get to you. You hit that 5th inning, start getting dehydrated. First thing to go is that command.
You know, I will say, I very much love that Carlos Lee, we come back with a highlights package, and I ask him, how does that feel watching that? So many guys, you know, I don't really think about that stuff anymore. You know, it's fine, whatever. He said, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then when you said in the video, you said you went 3 for 12 against Mariano, he said, oh, that's good.
That's true.
He's right. He's right. We're going to visit the pitcher's mound here from LaTroy Hawkins, the Brazil pitching coach. You know, you mentioned that for Panamanians, the love with the New York Yankees is very pronounced. And this may be the end of the day for Andre Rienzo, the right-handed starting pitcher for Brazil. And that goes back to Hector Lopez, who was a trailblazer in Major League Baseball and actually passed away last week at 93 years old. And a guy who had a legendary career. If you can do some reading tonight about Hector Lopez, do so. As Brazil heads to the bullpen, we'll tell you about the new arm when we return. Leadoff man on here in the 5th for Panama. Former Seattle Mariners prospect Christian Pedrol takes over on the mound for Brazil as we move along here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Leadoff base runner Andre Rienzo's day is done, and Rienzo really was terrific. He does give up the 2-run homer. He departs in this game with his team trailing, and he gives way to the bullpen and Pedrol. There is the home run hitter Jose Ramos, who took the former big leaguer Rienzo deep last inning.
He really was good. You think about 4 innings, solid, except for that one mistake, 3-2 pitch. Just couldn't quite deliver that finishing blow. You could see him go slider, slider, slider. It's like, okay, I'm going to try and challenge him here, try and live upstairs against him with 2 strikes. Just couldn't beat that barrel.
Andre Rienzo finishing at 68 pitches, 41 for strikes, and just tiring as the 5th inning came along. The leadoff man aboard, and the person of Orozco, butt down first base side. Orozco was off with it. He's easily into second, and the sacrifice puts a man in scoring position.
Yeah, you think yourself with this Panamanian team, we saw him against Argentina just put up a 12 spot, and you think to yourself, okay, they're bunting pretty early here, but runs and big moments have essentially been hard to come by. Now all of a sudden you got Carlos Sanchez able to come up, runner in scoring position. Excuse me, Edgar Munoz, pinch hit, DH.
Christian Pedrol, a former member of the Mariners organization. He got started in the Dominican Summer League in 2017, made it to the Arizona League by 2018. He actually got 1 appearance at AAA out of necessity in 2019. He was mostly split between rookie ball and an appearance at then Class A full season West Virginia in the South Atlantic League, a level known now as Single A. The guy who's not pitched in affiliated ball since 2019 deals that one on the outside part of the plate at 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, still a good fastball though. You can see 89, 90s already. You mentioned some of those stops he had along the way in professional baseball, and for a lot of these guys who are playing affiliated baseball over in the US, there's no bigger atmosphere or moment. You just simply don't get this in some of these minor league levels.
Two and 1 on Edgar Munoz, who is 0 for 1 today. Trying to cash in a runner in scoring position after Orozco reached on a leadoff walk here to open the 5th. Can't believe we are getting down to our final game and a half of this World Baseball Classic qualifier here in Panama City. We've been looking forward to this for so long, and we are nearing the final stages with 2 tickets to the 2023 Classic on the line tonight and tomorrow night here at Estadio Rod Carew. 2-1 in the air to left. Munoz got under it. Tim Lopes puts it away, 2 gone.
That's a big out. For Panama, they put down the sack bunt, trying to get the guys in scoring position. And all of a sudden, Brazil can wiggle their way out of this. Tell you what, look, they're down 2-0. There's still some threats in the middle of that lineup. They're in a good spot if they can get through these middle innings. Those pivot innings, they call them now. When that starter pulls up short in the big leagues, they go 4, 5, 6, and all of a sudden it's that pivot guy to get to that back end of the bullpen.
So brings in Alan Cordova, shoots one left side and through for a base hit. Flying around third base, Orozco, he will score. Panama adds 1. It's 3-0 in the 5th.
And just when you think you're going to wiggle out of this inning with some weak contact, 1 pitch, ambush mode, Cordova hits that hanging slider, 3-0 Panama.
Man, oh man, Rodrigo Orozco can burn. He was off on contact and just blistered his way around third base, sliding in safely at the plate. We talked about Alan Cordova the first night that his team played. He has been such an interesting player to follow. I first saw him at the 2016 WBSC U23 Baseball World Cup playing for this Panama squad. He was taken by the San Diego Padres as a Major League Rule 5 draft selection that fall. He had never played above rookie ball. Spent the entire next season in the big leagues. And since then, got some time in the majors. Made some headlines as an MILB.com organization all-star in the Padres system last year. He's been in Mexico a little bit, but that hit tool has always been so good for him as Ruben Tejada stands in.
Yeah, you can see him struggling this year in AAA. Only 162, ended up in the Mexican League. But this is beyond your team, and you know we talked to Carlos Lee about your country getting back to the World Baseball Classic. Beyond that, from a personal standpoint, if you're a guy like Cordova, you get a chance to play in March. All of a sudden, you're facing some of the best players in the big leagues, some of the best arms in the big leagues, and you tear it up for that, you know, that week and a half, man. You can find yourself in a really good spot. We've seen careers be resurrected from the World Baseball Classic. We've been seeing players being introduced at that level. Aroldis Chapman down in Mexico in 2009, blowing 100 plus. Obviously, some of the Japanese pitchers, Hugh Darvish, first chance we got to see Hugh Darvish, and another guy, Tanaka, ended up with the New York Yankees, but this is that stage.
Matsuzaka as well.
Daisuke Matsuzaka, exactly. That's that stage when you're a player and you're trying to resurrect your career or get introduced to the major leagues. That's the place you want to be.
1-0 runner off and fouled away. You mentioned Alan Cordova ended up in the Mexican League this year because he struggled a little bit in AAA. When he went to Mexico, his numbers were outrageous. He ended up slashing 431, 478, 647 in 30 games. It's not as though this was some small sample size. In those 30 games, he went hitless 3 times. 27 of those 30 games, he had at least 1 hit. He is just an offensive machine, and he's on it first as a swing and a miss there by Tejada. He finds himself in a 1-2 hole.
It's a filthy changeup. Now look at this crowd, loving it. And you think about how many opportunities do you get to watch your favorite players, the best players that your country's produced right now, here on home soil? I mean, this game could go till 4 in the morning, and he's still just banging around the drum. Absolutely.
1-2, runner off with it. The ball fumbled by Kikuchi and a stolen base for Cordova.
And again, that speed showing up for Panama. This lineup, obviously we're seeing the hit production, but dynamic players, athleticism up and down this lineup. We saw this against Argentina the first time we saw Panama. We're seeing it again tonight.
As Carlos Lee said last inning, this is a party. And these Panama fans hoping to add a little bit more fuel to the fire here. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Tejada looking to come through with Cordova in scoring position out there at second. This really is a pinch yourself kind of atmosphere. To be part of this tonight with this extremely enthusiastic fan base. Where else would you rather be?
See right now, Pedroll and Kikuchi trying to get on the same page. Knowing how big these next couple pitches are going to be. Trying to go through those signs.
Kikuchi went out for that first conversation, and now LaTroy Hawkins sprinting out of that third base dugout.
And we saw this the other day. Remember back when Brazil were playing in the game a couple nights ago, LaTroy Hawkins was essentially calling the pitches. We were watching that, glancing in the dugout. You could see him calling every single pitch. And for good reason, too. Obviously, he's been in these big moments.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Two. 3-2. Interesting story with this right-hander, Christian Pedroll. We did our last World Baseball Classic qualifier in Regensburg, Germany, the home of Legionnaire Regensburg. Christian Pedroll pitches for that team in the German Bundesliga and was actually working at the ballpark last week and just happened to mention to somebody, yeah, I'm going to Panama next week too. I said, for what? And he said, oh, I'm on Team Brazil.
How about
Wait
that?
a minute, what?
I got to say, man, I've said this a couple of times now. Some of the characters we ran into in Regensburg, Germany, I mean, lifelong friends all of a sudden, but some of the stories.
3-2 escapes there briefly from Kikuchi. That's going to be enough for a wild pitch to move Cordoba up.
And some of the, the careers that take you all over the world. Guys who end up pitching in Germany, and I absolutely love it too. I haven't heard one bad thing from some ex-affiliated guys like Pedrol pitching over there in Germany. I've got to say, Tyler, I was kind of, there's a little bit of that motivation. Maybe I should come to Regensburg, strap it on again.
There are far worse places to be than our last 2 stops on this World Baseball Classic qualifier tour around the globe. Regensburg, that gorgeous little ballpark, Armin Wolf Baseball Arena. And here in Panama City at one of the hallowed grounds of Latin American ball that has been renovated this year and turned even more beautiful as the first pitch is there for a called strike on the inside corner to Jonathan Arauz, who was really the spark starter last inning. 1-out single through the right side, stole second, went to third on an error charge to the catcher Marcio Kikuchi, trying to nab him at second base, and then came across on Jose Ramos's 2-run big fly to left.
And you're not going to get a chase either. We talked about how patient he is. Right now, you're trying to get him going fishing out of the strike zone. He's so patient.
Arauz has been aboard every time he's been to the plate so far in this qualifier. 2 walks on Saturday night, a walk and a single here on Tuesday. 1-1 is crushed, but way foul into the second deck, and now bounding back down into the lower deck on the first base side. And that kid make that catch. What a grab. The ball sprang off the facing of the upper deck, and a little dude with a glove up the first base side just caught it reaching over the back row of seats. One, 2. 2-2. It is impossible for me to not dance in this booth. And as you can see, I don't have moves. But still, with this band, it's impossible for me not to.
I was going to politely say, listen, we're going to work on some of these.
3 balls and 2 strikes now on Jonathan Arauz.
No, I can't talk either.
Like a full-body dry heave set to music, to quote a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, these booths have got glass windows. I don't want anyone to see me doing my best.
They're already looking in here last inning trying to get a glimpse of El Caballo, and they certainly don't need to be subjected to any more of my dancing. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 gone. Runner at third is Cordoba. Runner at first is Tejada. 3-2. Ball 4. They are loaded up for L.J. Jones, the cleanup man.
All right, showing off that plate discipline. There's no way you were going to get a chase from him in this situation. Again, big moments too. All of a sudden, the crowd's getting into it. You start pressing. Your eyes start lighting up on some of these pitches. Not the case with the Rise. He will take those walks all day long.
And Steve Finley is going to go get Christian Pedrol. So Pedrol comes on, gets a couple of outs, but with 2 gone, the bases are now loaded as Panama threatens to add on here in the 5th. Brazil headed to the bullpen. Panama with a 3-0 lead. Here is the situation as it greets the lefty reliever Hector Villarroel in the bottom of the fifth. Runner at first base, Jonathan Rouse. Runner at second, Ruben Tejada. Runner at third, Alan Cordoba. 3 former big leaguers on the base paths, loading things up. And Villarroel goes to work against a prospect in the St. Louis Cardinals organization, trusted with the cleanup spot in this lineup, L.J. Jones. And the first pitch to him is high for ball 1.
And you talk about being on the ropes, getting thrown to the wolves in this situation, coming in loaded bags here in the fifth. Crowd has not stopped the entire time you've been warming up.
2-0.
And you got to throw strikes. Got to get in this count.
Hector Villarroel, formerly a member of the Colorado Rockies organization, reached rookie ball in 2015 stateside, and he's run the count to 3-0 on L.J. Jones.
And there is no lonelier feeling on the planet when you have loaded bases, 2 out, not on your home soil, and all of a sudden you cannot find the strike zone.
This game is very much in danger of spinning away from Brazil right here in the fifth. Brazil's got just 1 hit at the plate, trailing at 3-0. 3-0 count. Villarroel deals. Strike 1.
Big pitch. And I think for L.J. Jones, I would say there's essentially the chance he may be taken again. But you have a feeling he is so aggressive. If he sees a fastball, you know you're going to get a fastball in this count. There's no chance you're going to break a ball. You can ambush this pitch.
3-1. Called strike 2. Villarroel trying to claw back and keep this thing within striking distance for Brazil in the fifth.
Man, he knows he missed a big pitch he could handle.
Full count, 2 gone, runners will be going.
And I think you're going to see another fastball right here in this situation. He's going to challenge him.
Here it comes. In the air, on the infield, foul ground. Kikuchi and Lopes giving it a look. Christian Lopes is there to make it happen. And Villarroel wriggles off the hook. We will head to the top of the 6th. Panama adds another one. Home team's got a 3-0 lead over Brazil at Estadio Rod Carew.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Inc. and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts of descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. And Tyler, you and I were there yesterday watching the ships roll through the Panama Canal.
We were actually piloting that one. That was the 2 of us. The Alpine Matilda out of Hong Kong. That was Ryan on the controls.
I was on the tugboat doing backflips off the back of it. Off the bow. There we go. Off the bow. Boom.
That video, compliments of Daryl Martins. He made us a good deal.
Yeah.
You know, we're not paying for his retirement, but he got a healthy chunk of change out of us to use the time lapse. It really was pretty amazing being at the Panama Canal yesterday. It's one of those things that, you know, as we all said to each other yesterday, who would have ever thought you'd have the chance to go actually see the Panama Canal? It was fascinating. You got a chance to see a couple of ships go through the locks. And watching it in a time lapse really shows you just how much actually goes on there, because it happens slowly in real time. Ball in the air out to center field is a leadoff out as, man, Jose Ramos covers ground very well and very swiftly out there, and he reels that in off the bat of Kikuchi.
Again, you're seeing some good contact here from Team Brazil, but it's scattered and just not enough. A couple lazy fly balls. I think step one was from against Hirata in this situation, who's been just getting nothing but ground balls. Get the ball in the air and make some good contact. I think beyond that now, Brazil need to start getting some base runners. See something going on here, right fielder.
This is Rodrigo Orozco, who was in pursuit of that ball out in right center and felt something tighten up in his right calf or shin. So we'll get a visit out to right field. Ray Ramirez is the athletic trainer for this Panama team. You know, we've mentioned that Ariel Hirata has been great tonight. I'm not sure we've emphasized just how great. He gave up a one-out single to Christian Lopes in the second inning. That is the only base runner that he has allowed so far today. 12 straight retired since that single by Lopes.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Hirata, how good he's been. It is tough to get deep into these games. They're different to what you're used to in the U.S.
We are going to get a change here. You can see Rodrigo Orozco shaking his head like, I'm not going to be able to continue in this one. So Rodrigo will come off to a big ovation from this crowd, and Luis Castillo will take over out in right. You can see there, Orozco just pulled up lame going after that fly ball, so hopefully he's okay. And with the humidity and the heat and all that, hopefully it's just a cramping issue, but not a good feeling.
Yeah, maybe that first hard step to his right. But just back to Hirata, you mentioned the fact how good he's looked today, and the velocity's been good, the movement's been good. That's the one thing he lost. 2019, he was an established major league pitcher, thrown 122 innings, put up some good numbers with the Rangers, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, his career is just going to be going on that right trajectory. Then he struggled 2020 and then 2021. But now all of a sudden, and I've seen this from guys who have played for Team Australia and all over the world. You get to the World Baseball Classic, if you're Panama, get yourself in shape this offseason, you'll see him right back in the thick of it after that World Baseball Classic. Man, he has looked really good.
Panama had to go through the qualifiers in 2013 and did not make it through. Spain, Canada, Brazil, Chinese Taipei, the 4 qualifying teams. Panama was one of the teams in the 2006 and 2009 editions of the qualifier who were part of the selected field, the invitation field, as you heard Carlos Lee say. 2017 without Panama as well. So this team trying to make its way back to the Classic for the first time in over a decade.
I think they're in that sweet spot too. We talk about the way these rosters are constructed. You know, we saw Great Britain with 10 affiliated guys. Now, when you have all those affiliated players and the young A-ball guys, or a couple guys in AA, you have some of those restrictions. The team will say, yeah, sure, you can have these players, but you can only throw 2 innings. You know what? He has to have every other day off, whatever it may be. I think for Panama, when you look at the way this roster is put together, you have a lot of major league experience, but you've got guys who are sort of tapered off from that being on that major league roster. So therefore, at this time of year, they can come to this and play for Panama. You have guys who are coming out of Mexico. You know it's easier to leave Mexico and come over. You don't have the same amount of restrictions. So I think they're in a really good spot to get back to the World Baseball Classic come March.
And the way this team has played, they are going to be a tough out in March, no matter where they go. We've talked a lot about that main tournament format and how there is no easy road for any of these qualifying teams, the 4 teams that have already been placed into pools A, B, C, and D. There's no easy group as the 2-2 comes in. Paulo Orlando will, in a veteran-savvy move, lean into, or at least stick the arm out a little bit to take that pitch, and he's aboard as a 1-out base runner. Also took a pitch back on game 1. It's an easy way to do it.
And the other part, too, is going to see a visit to the mound. You see some of these rosters as well. I mean, we saw this with South Africa and New Zealand. Some of these rosters that age out, some of the veteran players that stick around a little bit too long. We are going to see a pitching change. Wow, you'll hear from this crowd, too. But rather, he deserves every single standing ovation he gets inside the stadium.
What an incredible effort by Ariel Jurado as Panama heads to the bullpen with a 3-0 lead in the 6th. New arm into the game for Panama as we move along here in the top half of the 6th inning is the left-hander out of Chiriquí province, James Gonzalez, who inherits a runner at first base and 1 out in the top of the 6th. What an effort today from Ariel Jurado.
He was outstanding. We talked about coming into this game in the open. We talked about that sinking fastball, that heavy sink. We talked about 2019, 92s, 94s, being one of the biggest prospects, and then struggled a little bit, but he looked every little bit of that young prospect, that guy we saw for the Texas Rangers in 2019. Man, he was really good tonight. For James Gonzalez, 22 years old, a couple years of professional baseball, struggled a little bit this year, went back and forth a couple of levels of A-ball, but in a big spot on home turf. Trying to get his country, his nation, these fans to the World Baseball Classic.
Well, earlier in this game, Ryan made the observation that if something's going to happen for Brazil, it will likely involve this guy at the plate right now. Gabriel Maciel has been the straw that stirs the drink at the top of the order for Brazil, but tonight he's 0 for 2. 3 for 9 coming in, couple of doubles, a walk, an RBI, a run scored, good base runner. Trying to get something engineered here in the 6th with a 1-out man aboard.
Yeah, we talked about James Gonzalez, some of the struggles he had. Part of that was the command. We've already seen it. Trying to get settled in. He's nervous too. You got to be nervous. You're 22 years old. You have a veteran roster, a lot of major leaguers around you. Here in the 6th inning, 3-run game. He's got to find that command quick.
2-0.
There it is.
So that change in the outfield, Luis Castillo is out in right now. It's still Alan Cordoba in left and Jose Ramos in center. 2-1. Left center field. into the alleyway, cutting over. Ramos makes the grab, 2 away.
That's a ball just missed. Marcel just didn't get quite all of that ball. He gapped it.
That hung up a little longer than I thought it was going to. That looked like it had a shot to split Cordoba and Ramos when it came off the bat. But Jose Ramos makes playing center field look very easy. He's caught both outs in this inning and had to run a little ways for each of them. So 2 gone and brings up Vitor Ito. We thought that Ito may have had a bunt single to lead off the 4th inning, but the ball hit his bat twice. He was called back to the batter's box and was retired on a ground out to his counterpart, Ruben Tejada. Just 2 base runners all night for Brazil against Ariel Jurado. A 1-out single by Christian Lopes in the 2nd. A 1-out hit by pitch for Paulo Orlando here in the 6th. And Jurado giving way to the bullpen in the top of 6 to try to keep this shutout intact. Ito just 1 for 9 in the qualifier. Is high, 3-0.
This is a big at bat too for Ito. Get on base, get some speed on base. Hand it over to Tim Lopes. One of the biggest threats to this Brazilian lineup, right in the middle of it.
I mean, that's the crazy thing about where this game sits. Yeah, Brazil's only had 1 hit and 2 base runners, but you get Ito on, that's the tying run at the plate, and there he is. Aboard on a 2-out walk to bring up Lopes.
You can see right here, Ito tried to lay the bunt down a couple at bats ago. Walking on 4 straight pitches. We're going to see a pitching change again here. James Gonzalez.
So Gonzalez will depart over to that first base dugout as Luis Ortiz is headed to the bullpen again. 3-0. Panama leads it, 2 gone and 2 aboard in the 6th. Tense moments at Estadio Nacional Rod Carew as LaTroy Hawkins and Steve Finley go over things in that third base dugout with a tying run at the plate, and Luis Ortiz hoping that his move on the pitcher's mound is the one that can get Panama back into the dugout. Tying run at the plate. Multiple base runners aboard simultaneously for the first time tonight for Brazil. And it brings up Tim Lopes, one of the most dangerous bats in this Brazil lineup, to face the right-hander Carlos Luna.
This is going to be one of their biggest chances. Brazil got the middle of that lineup, runners on.
Milwaukee Brewers prospect Luna set, and his first pitch on the way to Tim Lopes' ball one. Well, this was the other night. Tim Lopes flashing the power against New Zealand.
Man, you get one of these, you're going to tie this game up real quick.
The momentum has felt firmly on Panama's side all night, and yet Brazil is one swing away from drawing this game even here in the sixth if Lopes can get a hold of one. Tim and his brother Christian out of Southern California, Brazilian family background. 1-0, 2-0.
Yeah, good spot. Knows he's going to get a fastball to hit. Some velocity he can handle too, 88 to 90. Young Carlos Luna, pitching Double-A this year, started to fade towards the end of the year. Most innings he's thrown. Struggled in the month of September, the last month of the season for him.
Got to be thinking, if you're Ariel Jurado, you are biting your fingernails down to the nub in that first base dugout. Just dealt over 6 1/3, and now helpless watching from that dugout as the count goes to 2-1.
Man, you can see Tim Lopes having a conversation, asking about that pitch. This is borderline right here. This is a off-speed pitch. Now 2-1, back in the count.
Runner at second base, Paulo Orlando. Runner at first is Vitor Ito. 2-1. Line left side, picked on the backhand by Tejada to second for the final out of the inning as Ruben Tejada continues to play a masterful shortstop. Panama snuffs out the threat. We're headed to the bottom of the sixth inning. The home team with a 3-0 lead in Panama City. Looking back at some of the all-time greats in Panamanian a few moments ago, Carlos Lee. Carlos Ruiz, longtime one of the best catchers in the big leagues during his career. Of course, the greatest closer who ever lived, Mariano Rivera. And the legend Rod Carew, for whom this stadium is named, that we sit in as we head to the bottom of the sixth inning. Really cool to hear Carlos Lee talk about the next steps for Panamanian ball players and how, you know, today the opportunities are just there to play more ball for young Panamanian baseball players, and how much of a difference that really makes.
And we had some breaking news too. He said, look, if this team gets to the World Baseball Classic in March, he will be on that coaching staff. Imagine being a young player having a guy like Carlos Lee to look up to, start asking questions about hitting.
First pitch swing and a foul ball from Jose Ramos, who was the hero so far in this one for Panama. Came through with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 4th inning with Carlos Lee sitting right between us. Carlos Lee was in it every pitch and still is from his seat tonight as the 0-1 is fouled back. Let's take a look back at the 4th inning and that big shot from Jose Ramos, the center fielder.
Yeah, and this is a 3-2 count. You could see nothing but breaking ball. And all of a sudden, Rienzo tried to challenge Jose Ramos with that fastball up in the zone. Paid for it.
As Carlos Lee said, should have stuck with a breaking ball because Jose Ramos did not miss the fastball. His second home run of the qualifier. He is now 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 3 runs scored.
See that billboard right behind Jose Ramos. Did he pay for that? Super 99, is that him?
Lying around in a couple of hops this short. And the leadoff man is retired.
That's the kind of stuff I do when I'm playing back in Australia. That my billboard.
I've been getting targeted ads for Super 99 on Twitter promoting the World Baseball Classic qualifiers. I thought, there is ever a person in this country you don't need to be promoting this to right now. It's probably my Twitter feed. I'm already bought in. Don't worry, Super 99. That'll bring up Jose Caballero. Caballero 0 for 2. He struck out to end the 4th. After Ramos's home run, he also flew out to right field back in the 2nd inning. Shows bunt, takes it back, and takes strike 1 along with it.
Yeah, you look at this game, the scoring obviously one-sided, 3-0 for Panama, but for Brazilian pitching, first of all, we talked about Rienzo, that one mistake, really that one mistake, when you're talking about that home run he gave up in a crucial moment. 3-2 count, decide to challenge him. You know what, he'll regret that for a while, might lose some sleep over it. But the pitching thus far for Brazil has been really good. We've talked about this team throwing a ton of strikes. You think about it too, this young man coming in was in a 3-0 count with loaded bases. Let's not forget. Was able to come back and get that lazy fly ball.
One thing to keep in mind, if you are a Brazil baseball fan, if you are somebody tuned in from Brazil, 1-2 pitch, lifted foul down the right field line. That'll fall just in front of the tarp. Good pursuit over there by Christian Lopes. You lose tonight, you're not done. Nicaragua awaits the loser of this game tomorrow for another do-or-die play-in game for the 2023 World Baseball Classic. That game, 7 o'clock first pitch. Ryan and I will be on the call for our 18th and final game of 18 in Germany here in Panama.
And Nicaragua is going to have their hands full with either Brazil or Panama. That is for sure. They're watching right now. They're thinking to themselves, man, it's going to be tough tomorrow.
Here comes the 1-2. In the air to left. Tim Lopes over to play it. 2 going. And not only are they going to have their hands full, but vice versa. I mean, that either way, that stacks up as a good matchup for tomorrow. Nicaragua, we've just kind of been waiting for that team to bust out, and they did get a good offensive performance against Pakistan, but today, just a 6-5 win over Argentina. They had to fight and scrap and claw all the way through that one to hold on for a 1-run lead, a 1-run win.
Yeah, and you think about it too. I mean, put up some big run totals, but just not that big hit, not that big double. We saw a little bit of that today. But again, when you look at that lineup, you were thinking to yourself, man, they're going to bust out any moment. They're able to scratch and claw, like you said, Tyler, and tomorrow is going to be a blast, just like tonight has been so much fun.
No balls and a strike on Luis Castillo. First at bat of the night for Castillo, who came on as a defensive replacement in the top of this inning for the starter, Rodrigo Orozco. We also owe a word of congratulations to Argentina for the run they made to game number 7 of this World Baseball Classic qualifier, a team that we really didn't know what to expect from Argentina. Their first ever qualifier appearance, and they were so much fun to watch, so disciplined, a patient team, a very mature team. For Rolando Arnedo, the manager, Rafael Salinas, the president of the Argentine Baseball Federation, they have so much to be proud of and so much to be excited about for the next step for Argentinian baseball. And they just missed moving on to play tomorrow for a trip to the World Baseball Classic with that one-run loss today. They were really impressive over their time here in Panama City. 1-2, that's laced out to left field. Lopes has this one in his sights, and that retires the side. First time since the third that Panama has gone down in order. We are headed to the seventh. Panama 3, Brazil nothing. We've talked a lot about Brazil's manager, Steve Finley, but the other man behind the magic for this Brazil team in this World Baseball Classic is 21-year big league veteran LaTroy Hawkins, a 7th-round pick out of Gary, Indiana by the Minnesota Twins in 1991. 127 saves in his career, nearly 1,000 strikeouts, and nearly 1,500 career innings pitched. He appeared in 22 playoff games. He was rocking a Twins shirt yesterday when we ran into him at the Panama Canal. And LaTroy Hawkins, just legendarily one of the true gentlemen in the game of baseball, too.
Yeah, and he is with this team every pitch, too. If you glance down to that dugout or out to that bullpen, now he is living and dying with his team every single pitch.
Swinging a line drive, slicing away from the center fielder. Ramos trying to catch up to it and reaching out. He'll have to play it off the wall. It's a leadoff double for who else? Leonardo Reginado, who has his 6th hit in 10 trips to the plate in the qualifier to get Brazil started in the 7th.
And this ball just kept going and going. You talked about how good Jose Ramos has been. Some of those routes, you know, when you hit a ball over that number 99, and you get that kind of effort, you know that ball had some backspin on it. Get beyond the center fielder.
So a leadoff base runner for the first time today for Brazil. And we'll see if they can cash it in. That's just the 2nd hit of the game for Brazil, and their first since Christian Lopes, the man in the batter's box right now, singled through the left side with 1 out in the 2nd. Brazil's bats showing some life here over the last couple of innings. Carlos Luna on for his first full inning of work. Deals that pitch there for a strike, 0-1. LaTroy Hawkins, I got a chance to interview him for a story I wrote for Rockies Magazine probably 7 years ago now, 8 years ago maybe. And he explained what made him so successful as a relief pitcher to me as we watch Carlos Luna work in relief. And it was fascinating, and you might be somebody who could identify with this because you pitched as a starter and a reliever in your career. When he was drafted, he said that organizations wanted him to start. Drafted by the Twins, they wanted him to be a starter. Started a lot in the minor leagues, got work as a starter, and he said, my problem was if I had a bad start, I sat and I stewed on it and I thought about it for 5 days. He said when I moved to the bullpen, it enabled me to clear my hard drive because if I had a rough night, I knew the next night I could get back out there and erase it.
I can hear that for sure. That was Man, when you are struggling as a starting pitcher, when all of a sudden it's starting to spiral out of control, outing by outing, those 4 days in between are just endless, and you just stew, you lose sleep, and then all of a sudden the day before you're about to go out there for that next game, it's like life or death. I think I can relate with him too. You get in that bullpen, first of all, you're sitting up there 5-6 innings, you just kind of, you don't even know if you're going to pitch. All of a sudden that phone rings, boom. All that anticipation, that anxiety only happens in short little spurts. So obviously, depending on your personality, I think obviously LaTroy Hawkins made a pretty good career, 21 seasons in the big leagues, being in the bullpen, but bullpen just suits some guys. And on the flip side, sometimes guys cannot do that. They need to start, they need to prep, they have to have that 3 days lead up, get ready to roll.
Love the routine.
Yeah.
Of how you get everything ready for a start. Is a long run over into foul ground for L.J. Jones. Reaching out, he makes the grab. Tagging at second, Reginato will advance. But we have talked a lot about how much foul ground there is in this ballpark. Most modern ballparks, that ball is 15 rows deep, and instead it's an out here.
Yeah, and what makes this play so impressive too, you're picking up speed. So the more room you have towards that top, the more you get that foot speed underneath you. So you're going to run into that wall pretty hard. There's plenty of warning tracks. That's not really giving you any kind of warning except for maybe some of your buddies down there in the bullpen. Man, L.J. Jones sticking with that play. That's a big out.
So the first man gone, and the first base runner of the night to third base for Brazil. And it brings up Lucas Rojo. He takes strike one. Some work going on in the bullpen down the right field line. Severino Gonzalez throwing for Panama.
I think for Brazil, all of a sudden they got that heartbeat. The minute Gerardo left this game, much better at bats, better contact. On the flip side, though, just back to LaTroy Hawkins and what he talked about when starting. When you're in a groove, man, it is absolute. You're on vacation those 4 days. You're loving it. Have that big outing, go 7 innings scoreless, and then the next day you just kind of cruise and get your work in, quote unquote, one of our favorites, and then just chill.
Just get to ride that feeling for 4 days. That's pretty cool.
Sit on the top step of the dugout, acting cool with your teammates. But I'll tell you what, man, when you're scuffling, I had a really rough year. One of my 2010, man, it is just, it's tough.
It's a lonely place.
Yeah, it is.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Rojo. Luna deals. Got it.
Man, no biggest slider in this outing for this young man, right? Look at this pitch. Perfectly executed. Man, one of the reasons he had a 2 in high A last year with the Brewers system. Wow. Big pitch, big out too.
We'll get a visit to the mound from Julio Rangel, the pitching coach who works in the Boston Red Sox organization. Obviously to talk about the approach here against Fernando Luciano, who is actually out of this game. This will be a pinch hitter for Brazil, Victor Coutinho.
You have the lefty and the righty going. You're going to see plenty of matchups as this game gets moving to the later innings. They're sticking with him. Carlos Luna gets another chance for a big out.
Excuse me, Victor Mascai is the pinch hitter. Former member of the Houston Astros organization. Actually saw 65 games this year in the Astros system with Single A Fayetteville, but he was released back on August 8th. First pitch on the way to him. 0-1.
This is a tough spot to come in. 7th inning, your team's down by 3. Pinch hitting.
First base runner past second all night for Brazil. Trying to not miss the opportunity. by stranding him there, 0-2.
And Carlos Luna quickly 0-2. Now he can go to that big slider of his. Or that changeup as well. Really good secondary pitch. He throws that to lefties. The fastball up in the zone.
Here comes the crowd again. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This place is this loud with the upper half of this ballpark closed because of the renovation work. I cannot fathom the noise if this ballpark was completely full. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts from Carlos Luna close the 7th. It's stretch time in Panama City in a 3-0 lead for the home team.
We're going to go back to this pitch sequence from Carlos Luna. First of all, you see the fastball. Now that pitch sets everything up in your head, knowing that you can beat this pinch hitter with that fastball. Look at that. Blows the doors off him. Not going to plan B, not trying to trick anyone. Just straight fastball up at the top of the strike zone. See ya.
How much fun is this? We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Brazil will turn to a new arm into the game as Edilson Batista takes over on the pitcher's mound.
There's a couple arms we haven't seen just yet from Brazil. This is where it gets tricky too. You're down 3-0, you're getting late here. For Steve Finley, he talked about that chess match. You play with that bullpen. You have to start getting a little bit more either A, efficient, or conserving some of those arms out of the bullpen, because there's a really good chance, unless you come back in this game, that you're playing tomorrow. You want to make sure everyone stays under that 30 pitch mark and is fresh as well.
Xavier Roel did his job to get the last out of the 5th and retire the side in order in the 6th. And here in the 7th, Carlos Sanchez is the first man in to face the lefty Batista. Edilson, briefly a member of the Boston Red Sox organization. Shouldn't say briefly, 4 seasons in rookie ball. And gets a swing and a miss on an 86-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 0-1. Over those 4 seasons, 46 appearances, 33 starts. He was a reliever primarily in his age 17 season, his debut campaign in the rookie-level Dominican Summer League. Then shifted into the rotation. His final season was actually one of his best. 9 appearances, 8 starts. Ryan was wearing that pregame today, but decided to change out of it.
I'll let him borrow it. That's a good souvenir, I'll tell you right now. Take back to Edmonds, Washington, walk around the streets.
Just wearing the mask.
Oh,
just stopping by the neighborhood coffee shop. Morning, fellas. Nothing new about my appearance. Batista put up a 2.84 in those final 9 games of his professional career. But the dominant number is never really there. 31 2/3 innings pitched. He only struck out 16, walked 7. In the previous year, he actually walked more than he struck out. 41 innings pitched. He issued 21 free passes while striking out 20. But here he is pitching for his country in the Classic qualifier, 2-2. Two-two pitch. Bounce back up the middle. Backhanded stab there by Rojo, who's thrown to first on a hop is in time.
Yeah, nice play out to his backhand. Had plenty of time too. You could see him. Didn't want to rush the throw. Got his feet underneath him. Got to first base plenty of time.
So 1 out. That'll bring up Edgar Munoz.
Yeah, the one advantage. We talked about being efficient with these pitchers. When you look at, see how this kind of lines up tomorrow. If you are Brazil, again, they are down 3-0, still in this game. But you got to start thinking a little bit about tomorrow. Rienzo, he would be out 68 pitches. Obviously, went above 30. But for Pedro, Villarreal, the lefty, Batista, all these guys are available again tomorrow. So they are in good shape pitching-wise.
1 ball, no strikes. Edgar Munoz out of the 9 spot, 0 for 2. Couple of 9-hole hitting designated hitters in these lineups. Munoz on this Panama side and Paulo Orlando on the other side for Brazil.
You know, just back to that pitching too. You get to that point where obviously tonight you take a loss here, for example, hypothetically. I'm not saying they're going to lose this game, but then you get into tomorrow. You don't want to be in a situation where you are losing a game.
Driven well to left. Looking up, Tim Lopes. He'll watch it go. And that 9-hole hitting DH has made it a 4-0 game in the 7th.
Man, Edgar Munoz got an 86-mile-per-hour fastball, middle 2-0 count, and did not miss. He knew that the minute it left his bat. Got this crowd fired up, got the light show cranking. Look at that energy coming out of that dugout.
This just means something more in front of this home crowd for this Panama team. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's an absolute no doubt. See the big leg kick? Look at this. Just stand there, watch it, take it all in. Embrace the moment. You don't get that many chances to do this in front of your home crowd. Oh, what a moment.
Some style points going around the bases, too. No balls and a strike back at the top of the order on Alan Cordoba, who singled through the left side to drive in the run in the 5th. Oh, 1. Sky-high pop-up. Foul ground catch made by Leonardo Reginato. It's one of those ones the late Harry Carey would have said that would have been a home run in a phone booth. So 2 gone, and now it's Ruben Tejada's turn.
Man, they're just having too much fun right now. 4-0. A couple big flies, left field. Crowd's fired up. I don't know if anyone's going to leave. We're talking about, you heard Carlos Lee talking about the traffic getting in and out of this place. I don't know if anyone's going to leave.
We might just hang out here all night.
Let's listen to the drums. I might join them.
Yeah, I was going to say, we might head down there and join him after this game is over. First pitch to Ruben Tejada spins him out of the box 1-0. What an atmosphere. This has been so much fun tonight. Watching these two teams tangle, and Brazil is by no means out of it. They brought the tying run to the plate back at the top of the 6th inning. Put a leadoff man on in the 7th. But time is running out. They got 6 outs to work with as Panama has built a 4-run firewall here in the 7th. (2-0), 3-0.
And what I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by that big blast to left field. But no, if you see Finley right now, all of a sudden you're down 4-0, it's getting late. And you're starting to think about how you're going to stack up your pitching tomorrow. You don't want to get beat in the situation you're facing Nicaragua, say, tomorrow. You don't want to get beat with your depleted bullpen, with your 5th option out of the pen. You want to structure this the best way you can. You kind of got to feel for who are your best arms in what inning. He's in a good spot, too. I mean, you think about keeping all these guys under 30 pitches.
Second walk of the day for Ruben Tejada, and it brings up Jonathan Arauz, who continued his streak of reaching in every plate appearance so far in this qualifier. He's been on all 5 times, but he's only 1 for 1. He's walked 4 times, as you see the double barrel action down the left field line for Brazil.
Gets louder and louder. Love it. There's a cowbell. There you go, Tyler.
It's finally back.
Get down there, bro.
I let him borrow it.
I got this. Actually, just take your headset down there. I got you.
There'd be no more fun place on the planet to call a game than in the middle of that group. 1-0. Rope foul. 1-1. This is a place that loves its baseball, and they have a national ballpark that is entering a renaissance period. 1-1 grounded foul. A lot of renovations here at Estadio Nacional Rod Carew this year. Brand new playing surface, new seats on that lower level. I don't know if they did anything with the acoustics, but the acoustics are great, obviously. This place is so much fun. Here comes the 1-2 from Batista. That's down. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Arauz has been so patient in his plate appearances, and he may be retired for the first time in this qualifier as he pops out to second, and that will do it for the bottom of the 7th. We're headed to the 8th. Panama's in control, 4-0 out in front of Brazil. The World Baseball Classic qualifying rounds are finishing up here in Panama, and you can watch these final 6 countries compete for free. Catch all the action live at worldbaseballclassic.com and by following at WBC Baseball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. There is our good friend, Andy Brown, painting all the action here in Panama. He came up to the booth today, painted me and Ryan. Made Ryan look like he was getting set to come out of a phone booth like Superman.
I'll tell you what, I was in good shape in that painting. I sent them an extra couple bucks and said, hey, listen, I don't care what you do with Tyler. You can make it just a glob of paint if you want. But with me, let's go. Make me this V shape, please. And I gave him a picture of me about 10 years ago. I was very happy.
Isn't it incredible, though? He was up here for maybe 2 innings.
Unbelievable.
And when you turned around and he showed you the painting, your jaw dropped. I mean, what he does is stunning. And he's actually down in our control truck right now. He's painting that environment. I believe that's the first time he's gotten to do such a portrait down in the truck. He's going to make our producer, Tim Fryer, look like the Hulk. You were Superman. He's the Hulk. I'm like a random neighborhood dad.
Just a glob of red paint with that red polo you're rocking right now. I love it.
Leadoff man for Brazil here in the 8th inning is the pinch hitter, Daniel Molinari, one of the catchers on this staff who was on in place of Marcio Kikuchi, and takes strike 2. Pitch on the way, waved at and missed. Enrique Burgos into this game for Panama. Strikes out the first man he faces.
Man, you can see coming right into this game, the bullpen has been scuffling a little bit. Big reason why they haven't been able to get ahead counts. Look at this, 0-2, and then finish off with that over-the-top little tomahawk arm action. Changeup. Enrique Burgos coming out of the Mexican League this year. In a big spot for Team Panama, just outs away for qualifying to the World Baseball Classic. And those chances are just depleting for Brazil.
Fooled Paulo Orlando with that first pitch. Make it 0-1. Burgos, a former big leaguer himself, 73 appearances between 2015 and 2016 with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Last couple of seasons, as Ryan noted, in the Mexican League with Yucatan.
Yeah, we saw in Germany too the fact that we had Spain and Great Britain for this game essentially for the European qualifier, and Spain, if you remember, got to that last day and were just out of gas against Czech Republic. I think if you're looking at Brazil in this situation, I think it's a little bit different mindset going into tomorrow. You guys sort of check and say, okay, what's going on offensively? What do we got going on? How do we get something going here? How do we get some momentum, especially against Nicaragua? We saw that offense start to explode. Now they're only 4 outs away from having to go into tomorrow.
That was such an emotional letdown for Spain, too. They went into the bottom of the 9th inning with a 1-run lead over Great Britain. They blew that game, lost it in 10. And, yeah, you could see the exhaustion just hit them by the final day against the Czech Republic. And that's taking nothing away from the Czech Republic's performance on that final day. But for Brazil, you know, the interesting thing is, same sort of deal. You're playing 2 games with a trip to the Classic on the line. And on the other side, and this was the role the Czech Republic played in Regensburg, you've had your backs against the wall every single day since that first loss.
Right.
So for Nicaragua, there has been no margin for error. And they go into tomorrow, and you think you're kind of the looser team in that setup, that you've already been doing this.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, that's been one of the arguments, you know, for why wild card teams have been so successful in the big league playoffs in recent years and decades, because they've been playing backs of the wall for so much of the latter part of their seasons.
Yeah, we're going to get a chance to see that play out in just a matter of days with this new playoff format in the big leagues. Got the wild card, the 3 games, all at the home ballpark. And so you're looking at what Yankees, Astros, for example, the Dodgers having to sit out for 4 days, wait around.
Back at the top of the order, Gabriel Maciel drives this one to right field, moving over forward Castillo, there to make the grab, and 3 up, 3 down. goes Brazil in the 8th. We are headed to the bottom of the 8th inning. Panama looking for some insurance with a 4-run lead over Brazil. Well, here is where things stand as we head into the final half of the 8th inning in Panama City. Nicaragua is awaiting the loser of tonight's game for tomorrow's final matchup of this Pool B World Baseball Classic qualifier. The winner of this one tonight is on to the 2023 World Baseball Classic, and as we head to the bottom of the 8th, Panama is in the catbird seat, a 4-0 lead over Brazil.
Yeah, this is only Panama's second game. I mean, they're going to essentially, if they hold this lead, they're going to go 2 and done, basically qualify. And the reason for that is because they are the highest seed. Teams like Brazil, New Zealand, Pakistan, the lower seeds, based on some of the international competition the last couple of years. So they've had to work a little bit harder to play that first day. Regardless, I think Panama could have played 10 games and that would have been fine.
Panama now is through 15 innings of ball in the field with no runs allowed. They have been outstanding on the pitcher's mound and defensively. And as we head into the bottom half of the 8th inning, L.J. Jones will lead things off. It'll be Jones, the first baseman, Jose Ramos, the center fielder, who had the 2-run homer back in the 4th, and Jose Caballero, the third baseman, in the middle third of the order. And all set to face Sullivan Ribeiro. Takes over on the mound, a member of the Oakland Athletics organization. First pitch fouled back.
I think it's a situation you mentioned. Some of the guys out of this bullpen, I think this is a chance just for them to get a game in. They're all going to be fresh, ready to roll for tomorrow. All hands on deck.
No balls and 2 strikes on Jones.
See that good fastball, 92. Quickly 2 strikes.
Foul ball into the suite over their third base side. Much more likely that I could make a play on a foul ball here. The way the press box was set up in Germany, it would have had to have been steaming over the screen at about 1,000 miles an hour to get into the booth. I think if we got one up here, it's a very small target, our window. I think I can make that play.
I'll save you, Tyler. I'm a world-class athlete, as you know. As we've discussed plenty.
We certainly have. You pitched in the big leagues.
Yes, I did. And in this World Baseball Classic.
A pitch on the way to Jones, swung on and missed. He's gone for out number 1.
That's a nasty breaking ball, too. We talked about the velocity on that fastball up in the zone. Then that late sharp 82-mile-per-hour slider.
So the leadoff man gone. That'll bring in Jose Ramos. Ramos, I don't know what was more impressive, the home run or the bat flip, which is already rocketing its way around the internet. Jose Ramos flipped the bat so high and so hard that he flipped his own helmet off of his head. Carlos Lee, I did like that Carlos Lee said, you know, I'm not a big fan of it, but that's the new generation. Swing and a miss. 0-1.
I was trying to think back. I mean, we're watching some Carlos Lee highlights. He stood there and watched it, but there's no bat flip.
No flip.
No.
A little bit different, styling and profiling after you hit a home run. You know, it is funny, though. I mean, there's footage of guys back in the 1950s and 60s. There's footage of Mickey Mantle flipping his bat after home runs. There's this misnomer that that's such a new trend in baseball, and it's something that has only been implemented by this later generation of ball players. That's not really the case.
Yeah, I think they got to that generation, though, you know, when you're talking, once you got to the 70s, guys, pitchers who just threw gas and they'll drill you in 2 seconds. There was that generation as well.
0-2 swung on and missed. So, Ramos is gone. Back-to-back strikeouts to start the evening for Sullivan Ribeiro. He is out of Colorado, Brazil. Ribeiro still yet to reach his 19th birthday. A member of the Oakland A's organization who heads over for a conversation with his pitching coach, LaTroy Hoggins, and assistant pitching coach, Thiago Caldera.
They're going to take him out. Again, this is just a chance for him to get his feet wet. He will be available tomorrow. You saw that big arm, 92, 93 with that good changeup and slider. You'll see him ready to roll tomorrow if they play.
That was pretty impressive from the young lefty Ribeiro. Brazil headed the bullpen. We're headed to a break. Naoki Takano is the next arm into the game for this Brazil squad as we move along in the bottom of the 8th inning. Douglas Naoki Takano, his full given name, goes by Naoki. Coming up on his 24th birthday in March. He is out of Maringá, back home in Brazil. That's the team he pitches for in the Brazilian League. And after 2 really impressive batters from Sullivan Ribeiro, Takano will try to get the final out of this 8th inning. 6 strikes on 6 pitches for Ribeiro. And Jose Caballero will try to get something started with 2 outs for Panama, or We will send this thing to the 9th as Panama tries to clinch a World Baseball Classic trip. Two balls and no strikes.
Yeah, it took Panama just a couple innings to get moving offensively. That big home run, and that set the tone, and they never looked back.
Panama looking to return to the World Baseball Classic for the first time since the pre-qualifier era, 2009, the second edition of the WBC, before the qualifiers were implemented in 2012 for the 2013 Classic. Panama was part of the 06 and 09 editions as one of the invited 16 teams. Ooh. 2-1 misses just away, 3-1. Popped up, foul ground behind the plate. Giving it a look is the backup backstop Molinari, who came on as a pinch hitter and did not make the grab. Good effort.
Yeah, that ball stayed in. Spun back. Ooh, just missing that ball. That's tough. He was gliding up there against that net on the way down. Big out here. Get back in that dugout. Try and get something going. Create some traffic on the bases. Give yourself a chance in this 9th inning.
Brazil has just one hit since the 2nd inning. Panama has not allowed a run in this qualifier. They lead by 4 in the bottom of the 8th. 3-2 pitch.
There you go.
Almost.
Almost.
I leaned out. I made the effort.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. Another 3-2 up coming to Caballero. Tagano ready. Full count pitch.
It's just living on the outside part of the plate.
Here's another 3-2. In the air on the infield this time. Christian Lopes calling and catching, and we are headed to the 9th. Game number 8 of the World Baseball Classic qualifier sees Panama trying to close out a trip back to the WBC. One of the all-time greats in the game of baseball hails from this very country. Rod Carew, who moved to the United States when he was 14 years old, made his big league debut and then won the American League Rookie of the Year in 1967. 1977, American League Most Valuable Player, inducted into the Hall of Fame. 14 years later, member of the 3,000 hit club, 1,000 career RBIs, a 328 average, and got a stadium named after him, which opened in 1999, building that we are currently standing in here in Panama City.
That's when you know. What level is that, man? You usually say that's when you know you've made it, but what level is that? What do you got?
That is, I mean, even beyond the Hall of Fame, they're building a stadium and naming it for you is that, especially to be a national stadium. It's not like a local little.
Is that bigger than the bronze statue? What do you think?
Oh yeah. I think stadium naming rights are. Yeah, that's bigger than the statue.
Pretty massive.
You know, I'm sure they're putting one of you soon.
Don't even try.
Headed to the ninth, a 4-0 lead for Panama as Brazil looks to catch lightning in a bottle. Something that they have not been able to do tonight is assemble a whole lot of base runners. And we go to the ninth inning with Alberto Baldonado taking over on the pitcher's mound for the home team. Trying to close out this victory, facing 2, 3, and 4. As Vitor Ito, the first man in to face him, takes strike one.
Yeah, and you said it too, base runners. That's what it comes down to for this Brazilian team. We've seen that throughout these qualifiers. Generate some kind of traffic.
94 from Baldonado, fouled away.
What about the pitching there, man? You go back to Gerardo, how dominant he was, setting that tone. 6 innings of dominance, 92s, 93s with that bowling ball sinker. Now, even on the other side too, Rienzo, how good he was, just that one mistake. That's all it takes. In these type of games, every pitch, every at-bat means everything.
Panama 3 outs away from flat out dominating this qualifier. They have not allowed a run. They outscored their first opponent, Argentina, 11-0 in the opener. 4-0 lead here in game number 8 of this World Baseball Classic qualifier on home soil. Vitor Ito 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Just 2 hits up on that board for Brazil. And on the other side, you know, Brazil's pitching, as you noted, Ryan, it's been pretty good. Panama's only had 4 hits. They've just had the more timely hits. And, of course, got the big homer as well from Jose Ramos back in the 4th. Called strike 3, out number 1.
That's a huge out. Getting that first out, that first hitter of the inning out, stopping any kind of momentum. And Ito, we know he can run. He can be a pest on the bases. Especially with this man coming up, Tim Lopes.
Lopes 0 for 3 tonight, but one of the engines of this Brazil offense, 4 for 9 with a home run, 2 runs batted in, 3 runs scored, and a walk in his team's first couple of games. If Brazil cannot rally here, they will be back in action tomorrow night against Nicaragua. First pitch, 7 o'clock here at Estadio Rod Carew, and our 9th and final game from Panama City. 1-0. Bounding ball, tough play left side, into play. Caballero doesn't have a play, and a 1-out infield single. Maybe something to get Brazil started in the 9th.
Yeah, maybe something to keep this line moving. They're in the heart of the order right now. You got to think if they somehow climb back into this and striking distance and tying run comes up, it's going to be the bottom part of this order has got to pick it up from Brazil. But you mentioned tomorrow night Nicaragua, and the loser of this game, that is going to be absolute blast to get to that World Baseball Classic. This is game number, tomorrow's game number, what, 18?
17 of 18 tonight.
Wow.
Crazy. So we are making it through. And, you know, not to jinx anything, but the weather cooperated today. which is nice. The pitch is there on the outside corner for a strike one to Tim Lopes. Check that, it's Leonardo Reginato.
Yeah, we had the 10 a.m. start, got pushed up, avoid that rain. We had the quickest rain delay in history.
Yeah, 26-minute delay in history as it just poured for a few minutes. They pulled the tarp and the rain moved out pretty quickly. A one foul away. These fans are ready to erupt here at Estadio Rod Carew. Reginato, the only extra base hit of the night for his team. 1 for 3, he doubled leading off the 7th, he was left aboard. He is the only man to reach third tonight for Brazil. 0-2. These fans have not quieted down for a moment here tonight at Estadio Rod Carew. We had a crowd of about 6,000 in the house the other night. This one's got to be bigger than that one. They have been so much fun on this Tuesday evening. Baldonado kicks and deals the 0-2 in tight. That escapes from Sanchez, and it will move Lopes into scoring position at second. So the double play option disappears. And it's a 1-2 count on Reginato.
Yeah, if you're Panama, you just kind of forget about it. Runner at second, doesn't exist, just get out. They're a 4-0 lead. 2 outs to get.
Baldonado made 14 appearances for the Washington Nationals in the big leagues last season. Comes home on 1-2, down low.
Some good at-bats.
Back in the Nats organization this year, 56 appearances at AAA Rochester in the International League, a 3-2 record, 3.84 ERA, 3 saves for the Red Wings. Two on the way. This is a great at-bat from Reginato, who has been terrific throughout this qualifier for Brazil. 6 for 10 with 4 doubles. Line left side and a leaping grab by Jose Caballero. 2 gone.
Man, what a grab. First of all, going to his left. Second of all, you think about this too. There's been a ton of foul balls. This has been a long at bat. When you're playing defense, you're up 4-0. You can start getting it away from the moment. Get caught flat-footed. Not the case. Caballero, wow. Down to the final out, Brazil.
So with 2 gone, it all falls to Christian Lopes.
And this crowd is about to erupt. We get a chance to watch their team celebrate on this field. Crowd on their feet right now.
Thousands to their feet at Estadio Rod Carew, and a pop-up back our direction. Oh, that is the closest that we've come. That was 2 windows away. I almost had it. No balls and a strike on the right-handed hitting Lopes. Oh, 1 from Baldonado. 0-2.
And here we go, 1 strike away here in Panama.
Everyone on their feet at Estadio Rod Carew. No balls, 2 strikes on Christian Lopes. Baldonado deals into the dirt, 1-2.
Entire dugout on their feet, the bullpen on their feet.
This is something else, man. This crowd, as Ryan said, is ready to erupt. Baldonado set once more. His 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Christian Lopes refuses to go down without a fight.
Two on Lopes. Baldonado wants to go through the signs one more time with Carlos Sanchez. Now ready. 2-2. Swung on and missed. The words these fans have been waiting to hear since 2009. Panama, welcome back to the World Baseball Classic.
Time coming for this team Panama with this staff and these fans, these players to get back to that world stage. We've waited a long time to see the World Baseball Classic. Imagine waiting to see it. You mentioned it, 2009. Feels like a lifetime, and here they are, getting to celebrate on home soil. Getting ready for March. World Baseball Classic, welcome.
And not only that, but doing it in absolutely dominant fashion as Panama breezes through 16 innings of scoreless ball from this pitching staff. A dominant effort at the plate. And what a night for this Panama squad as Luis Ortiz and his team are headed back to the Classic for the first time in nearly 15 years by the time things get rolling coming up in March. What a night at Estadio Rod Carew as we welcome you back upstairs alongside former big leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Brian Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. I don't know what else we can say about that game. That is the exact effort that Panama wanted from this team coming into the qualifier on home soil.
Yeah, you mentioned it, the pitching, the offense, everything was clicking. They got a chance to play against Argentina. They absolutely steamrolled them 12-0. Then they come up against Brazil, who are a pretty big threat, and they just took care of business. The fans, the drums were louder, getting louder and louder as every pitch went on. This is what it's all about. This is why we love international baseball, and this is just a little bit of a preview to what's to come in March. I can't wait.
Huge congratulations to Panama and to all of these fans here who have been waiting for something like this for quite some time and now get a chance to celebrate. And there you see the updated bracket as we are headed into our final day, our final game of this 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier set tomorrow night. Nicaragua and Brazil for the final ticket through the qualifiers to the 2023 Classic. What a game tonight. And tomorrow night, we got another good one on tap.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Nicaragua's starting to warm up offensively. Team Brazil, they look fresh enough. They're coming off a tough loss here tonight, but they get another chance. Man, tomorrow is going to be fantastic. 7 p.m. here local time. I cannot wait, Tyler.
Stick with us for the final one from the World Baseball Classic qualifiers. Tomorrow night, Brazil and Nicaragua. For Ryan Rowland-Smith and our producer, Tim Fryer, I'm Tyler Vaughn. We'll talk to you then. Congrats to Panama. Off to the Classic.